Good morning. Good morning. And welcome to Surefire Saturdays. The boys and I have been so excited about planning this broadcast, and it's because it is an American Thanksgiving special. That's right. Bowtech is bringing you all of the best recipes. We have wild turkey, and we're going to be stuffing it with a venison sausage. We also have buttery bourbon pecan pie.
Honestly, there's so many recipes. We got the papers. We got to remember them. That's how many recipes.
We got a fistful here. But listen, before we jump into the food, you can't miss this opportunity. You've got exactly 20 minutes left to enter to win a Bowtech Realm. Brand new Bowtech Realm, just released. This is a bow that is a perfect balance of precision and technology. And for me, you put it in your hand and it is, well, it's a little bit like butter. It is just so smooth. It's beautiful.
It's honestly going to take your hunting into a new realm. That's how great this bow is. It's honestly amazing, and you got 20 minutes to make it yours.
So how do you do it? You have to text if you're in the United States. Now this is a U.S. broadcast, United States Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving. So we have a great giveaway. Text CHEF, that's C-H-E-F. Text CHEF to 77453. That's 77453. We will be announcing this live right here in about 20 minutes. I'm going to get a text from the team at Bowtech, and they're going to let me know out of the entries, the thousands of entries, the thousands of archers out there. Don't miss this opportunity. You're going to love the new realm.
We won't even be saying it. We got my two little sisters, two little cuties coming on to announce who's going to win this bow. You guys are going to love them.
Okay, let's go through the recipes. So this is what you can expect. Now this is going to go on. You're going to want to get a cup of coffee. Remember, Surefire Saturdays, we are taking Saturdays back.
We warned you. Remember last week we made that bread. We said to make it, grab a cup of coffee, and grab a seat.
That's right.
We went live to Instagram just before this, and a guy was actually in the tree stand. He made a comment. He said, "Who else is in the tree stand right now?"
In the tree stand.
So we got guys in the tree stand.
We're going to be watching for deer out here this morning. But listen, let me go through this. So you're going to want this. Now these are great recipes, but they're equally great techniques. So if you've had any frustration with turkey, with stuffing, or anything in between, this is the show you're going to want to watch. Bookmark it, go to YouTube, follow this, and don't forget, enter to win that bow. So we got wild turkey, and then I'm going to teach you my sourdough and pumpernickel stuffing. So this is a stuffing. Yeah, grab those loaves of bread. It's been a huge favorite in my family, and we're going to use a little bit of venison sausage in it to give it some richness. So these babies are full flavored. That's one recipe. The next one, Dakota's going to teach you how to do mulled wine. Now, when it's a festive holiday season, like Thanksgiving, you want to maybe have a little bit of something that's got a little punch. Well, the mulled wine is beautiful. It'll warm the soul and the senses, and it's great to get your taste buds rolling for a good dinner.
Oh yeah, definitely. I learned something the other day talking about how the tannins and how they actually cleanse the palate and the taste buds on your tongue. And if you have time, or maybe Dakota can bring it up later on to teach you a little bit about that and why you pair it with certain foods, it's really cool. You guys are going to love that.
Then we've got sprouts, Brussels sprouts. Now, everybody turns their nose up, or lots of people do, but a lot of you out there know the secret. You don't want to blanch them, you don't want to steam them, you want to saute them. And we're going to be pairing them with bacon. So that bacon and caramelized Brussels sprouts, it's a perfect green. It makes green vegetables
Good.
Digestible. Butternut squash soup, that's going to be a beautiful recipe. So we've got a little something, got something for starters.
Yep.
These spiced mixed roasted nuts. You're going to love that recipe because that's something that you can give your guests before they eat. It's very earthy, very rich, lots of protein.
Something you start right before your guests come because you got all those spices, all those nuts. When you roast them, it fills your house. It smells like Christmas or Thanksgiving, I guess.
And then we've got this ruby port cranberry sauce. So I'm going to show you how to take just regular fresh or frozen cranberries and kick it up a notch by using a little bit of port, which is a fortified wine, and some beautiful spices. Then pan gravy. We're going to talk pan gravy. So we've got all kinds of recipes this Saturday morning. We want to start off by, first of all, saying thank you for joining us. We want to say to those of you who have Thanksgiving coming up, we wanted to give you enough time to get the ingredients together, to have a look at this, maybe watch it once or twice. Remember, this is going to be on live stream. It'll be on our Facebook page, Bowtech, all of our partner pages, and you'll be able to find it at our YouTube channel, The Outdoor Chef. So with no further ado, let's get started with some of these recipes.
Which one do you start on?
So, yeah, exactly. So what you start on with first is the stuffing. Because the stuffing has to be brought down to temperature, we got to start with that stuffing first. Nice. So the first thing I'm going to do is you want to make sure that you have a decent sized pan, a good large pan. And then we're going to use butter. So butter is really the thing that brings this together. Matter of fact, grab a pound out of the fridge. And you literally start by just heating up that butter. Keep clicking along here.
And you don't have to, but if you want, tell us why you would want one of these new Bowtech Roams. They're an amazing bow, and we'd love to hear how you guys feel about Bowtech and how you guys feel about their new bows. We love hearing that kind of stuff.
That's right. So what I've got is I've got that butter heating up. Now the base for this is going to be carrot, celery, and onion. So the carrot, celery, and onion are something that you'll hear us talk about all the time. It's a great flavor base, but what I like to do is in the stuffing, I like to use the heart of the celery. Yeah. So what I do is I keep these sides. These we can maybe use for soup or for stock or something else later, but it's that heart of the celery that I want. There's a ton of flavor in there, and I want to transfer all that flavor into this stuffing. It's one of those things that, you know, when you add carrot, celery, onion, and I'm also going to add leek. These are flavor bases, so you can just have the nice bread and the flavor of the turkey, but what you're looking for is an elevation of flavor, and that's what this does.
True. Especially when you saute it in the bottom of that pan, I'm pretty sure you're probably going to deglaze that pan, and you get all that flavor off that pan and all that stuff that would otherwise be missing if you didn't do it, and it really just adds that something that's really good.
So what I'm doing right now is I literally just split the large ribs down the center, just so that when it does begin to saute down, that it breaks down. We want bite-sized pieces here. As a matter of fact, these are flavors that can almost disappear. Yeah. They can just be in the stuffing. We don't even necessarily want to see them. Yeah. We know that based on the flavor profile, that they'll be there.
Yeah. You want me to start cutting up that bread?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, so what we'll do with the bread, yes, I'll get you a cutting board here. What we'll do with the bread is we want to make sure whenever you're doing the bread, you don't necessarily, you know, I remember my mom would always kind of panic that she hadn't put the bread out to really dry out. And when you're using a light bread, like a very kind of typical bread, that's that's somewhat the case. But in this case, with these really heavy breads, they really, really stand up. They're so dense and so hard. I mean, this is so the sourdough, there's two different flavor profiles here. So the pumpernickel is very bold flavor.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, tons of flavor here. The sourdough, as you know, if you think about like a classic sourdough, San Francisco sourdough, you know that's got, it's slightly tart, it's very dense, and it's very, very nice to work with when making the stuffing. It smells great, eh?
It smells great.
So what Bailey's technique here, I'll just show you a little something. So when you do have a loaf of bread that's round like this, we always want to work with the knives in a way that it's most safe. So the first thing he did is he split it in half. Then what I want you to do is I want you to turn it on its end, and look at that, I have a flat side again. It allows me to pass a knife. Now I'm using a serrated knife. Serrated knife is perfect for bread and very important to use so that you can pass it through and you just use a sawing motion. Now make sure that these are bite-sized pieces. Yeah. We want bite-sized pieces, and think about, I always think about like my mom or Cindy's mom, Nana, and think about, you know, like a very delicate bite for anybody. Don't want it to be too big and don't want it to be too chunky. You can see here I'm just melting that butter, and all I want to do, I'm just going to melt that whole thing, and I'm going to just slightly brown it so I get a ton of flavor going there.
Never have enough butter.
For those of you wondering, Dakota will be joining us. He's just, he's working, we call Dakota the mechanic because he looks after all of our technical stuff. So you can see here, I've got all of the celery prepared. And if you're ever wondering, like, how much should I put in? How much is too much? What I always like to do is, for this, I like to do a good handful of each. And if you have equal amounts of each, that's also very important.
And just a separate note on this pumpernickel of the bread, like he said, you lay it flat on that flat side and cut those inch-wide pieces. Then you take about a stack of 3 is good. You don't want too much, otherwise it falls apart. You lay that flat, and again, you go with that same size cut, down that way, and then as you get done that, you flip it around once more, do the same thing once again, and then what you're left with is about these little tiny bite-sized pieces of joy.
Yeah, and they're not crushed and they're not cubed, you know, they're perfectly cubed. They're good.
Jeremiah is asking, is it better to use fresh or old bread?
Oh, great question, Jeremiah. Thanks for watching. Jeremiah, fresh or old bread? You know, that's the point I was making right here is that, so this is fresh bread. Of course, you can keep end trimmings for stuffing. The whole purpose actually of stuffing, if you go back to why it was originally done, is it would be the end-use bread, the bread that wasn't used. Rather than throwing out, you just toss it in the freezer. And of course, bread just loves to soak up all these flavors. So you can really use fresh bread if you haven't prepped for it ahead of time, or you can use old gnarly bread. Whatever you've got, it's going to soak up the flavors beautifully.
And on that note, I find everyone thinks Thanksgiving or stuffing's a Thanksgiving or Christmas thing. Stuffing is a great side for all times of the year. If you got that extra bread kicking around, or you bought too many loaves, if you're having dinner, make some stuffing. It's honestly a great side.
So while we're cooking away here, I want to take this, if you're just joining us, I want to remind you of something really important. This broadcast is brought to you by Bowtech. Bowtech Archery has just released the Bowtech Realm. Brand new bow for 2017-2018, and you have exactly 5 more minutes to enter. What I want you to do to get that link to enter is to text CHEF. That's C-H-E-F. Text CHEF to 77453. Do that right now if you're in the United States, and take this opportunity to win a Bowtech Realm.
Good morning, everyone. Sorry I didn't join you earlier. I came over here because I'm smelling this beautiful butter.
Butter, careful. Yeah, man, that smells so good. Oh. So, you know, if you ever want to get anybody out of bed, we always often end up cooking Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah.
But if you want to get anybody out of bed, like Bailey said, start using the spices or start melting some butter. That's a surefire way. So Bailey's going to keep going on the bread here. What I've got, and actually I'll flip around and I'll do a little bit. But you can work a little bit the leek, and I think let's show them the technique for the carrot of just peeling. Just peeling. I can grab a peeler for you.
These are some beautiful ingredients, folks. What you want to start with is some great ingredients, right? Start off with amazing ingredients and you'll have the best results. So we're just going to peel this carrot here. This is a Y peeler. You can use, obviously, just the regular peeler that you've seen, but these Y peelers make really short work. And I'll show you a really easy technique. If you take the carrot, lay it in front of you here, and you just turn it slightly with your finger, it makes quick work. And you just keep rotating it just as you go down it, just like that. Making sure not to take too much of the carrot off. Now, if these carrots were these aren't as new a carrots, but if they were new, you could just scrub off some of that dirt and just leave that skin right on there. How are you making out there?
It's going good. Another note about the bread is it takes a little while to cut up, so if you have guests over and you're a little busy, this could be something you could do the night before and let it, like you said, get stale overnight.
Well, that's a nice thing about doing stuff the night before, especially if it's something that can hold over. You want to do it so those flavors have time to like marinate together, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Are you just peeling? I remember, I can't remember if it was Thanksgiving, but we did the technique once of instead of chopping, we just kept peeling the carrot all the way down.
That's what we're going to do right now.
That's what we're doing right now?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought he was just peeling.
Oh, that's what we're doing right now. Okay.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is we'll get all this skin out of the way and then we will show that. So I'll show that technique now. So you want to get all this skin out of your way here.
Take a look at these two breads, guys. Look how gorgeous these are. And you can just imagine the two separate flavors that come from that.
I got to jump in here for a second. I got to let you know, there's just 2 minutes left. So we are going to be giving away the Bowtech round. We're going to be giving it away live right here. But right now, there's still enough time for you to enter. Right. So this Bowtech round is something that you will covet. Something that you will carry with you for years. And archers, one thing I can tell you about archers, they're just like chefs. They love precision equipment.
And the proper tools, right? In the
proper
field,
tools in the kitchen. Proper tools in the field. So enter right now, text CHEF to 77453 and get the link so that you can have your chance to win. We'll be announcing the winner here in less than, I would say, about 5 minutes. 5 hot minutes and we'll be into it. So Bailey's got all of the pumpernickel prepped, and now he's into the sourdough. One of the things, this is what I love about sourdough, it's just, so when you have a look at that slice, you can see there.
That's just beautiful. Look at that texture, eh?
It's so, and so when you bite that, and it's just like, you know what it is, actually? It's a food sponge.
Oh, it is.
Sourdough is a food sponge. All of this is going to be soaking up that flavor. And now Dakota, let's, show that. I love that.
Now, I've just worked down all the way, got rid of that skin, but then look now at that beautiful carrot.
So it's ribbons. By the way, a little side note, if you want to do carrots in your salad this Thanksgiving, instead of cutting, you know how when you get a piece of carrot and there's a lot of bite, make it rain carrots. And there's that bite, there's that heavy bite. It's okay.
Got some brown butter here?
Yeah, but think about how beautiful and delicate a ribbon of carrot would be in a salad. Listen, put the knife away, get your peeler out, and use the peeler when you're doing carrots this holiday season.
And in terms of presentation, you have your family over. It's always nice to impress your family. For the presentation side of things, to have like ribbons of carrots just laid over your salad.
Well, look how beautiful that is. That is so beautiful. What we got there, buddy?
So one of our viewers, Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs.
He's been up since 1 a.m. because he just had a new baby girl.
Congratulations. Did they name her? Congratulations, Josh. Attaboy.
Nice.
Did they name her yet?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay. I can tell you, Cynthia's a great name. That's my wife's name. Or Blair, that's my daughter's name. Or Grace or Blake. And Grace and Blake are going to be joining us here any minute. We're going to be announcing the winner of the brand new Bowtech round. Now, I'm going to take a second here. I'm going to put these are going into this beautiful brown butter.
Everybody.
You do say good morning?
We're going to introduce
Come on over here.
Grace and Blake. This is Gracie.
This is Gracie, and where's Blaker?
Blake's grabbing her little stool so she can be seen.
So we got just a few minutes left here. So Thanksgiving is all about family. So this is Blake and this is Grace, and they're my two youngest. So Grace, you were shooting what's the name of your bow again?
Edge SB1.
And it's a diamond bow, right? Mm-hmm. Yep. So you like shooting your bow?
Yes.
Yeah, you do? Okay. So anyway, you guys get out of here. Like most of the time, getting them out of the kitchen. I'll call you back. We got to keep working here. Remember, we're doing an American Thanksgiving special here. Right now, Bailey's working on the base for that stuffing. I'm starting to saute these carrots over here. And so this technique of ribboning the carrots first of all, it makes it really easy. And all you do is just the way you would peel the outside, you just peel and turn. And what happens is when you're sauteing this, it'll break down and it'll be just beautiful, beautiful flavoring.
Take another look at this stuffing, guys, now that it's all cut up in cubes and in the bowl. you can imagine that once we put all this beautiful flavor on top of it inside the turkey, all those juices go inside, soak up in the oven, and just imagine how good that's going to taste.
I think we need an adjective generator. You know that? Because everything is beautiful. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful morning. It's a beautiful recipe. They're beautiful ingredients. So the carrots are going in, and now I'm going to take this big handful of celery.
Holiday games, Mad Libs.
Yeah, exactly. Celery going in. We got this, buddy. Okay, celery in. And so we're just going to keep cooking that down. And this is one of the really important things. So I want to talk to you a little bit about food safety. The number one thing, and this is something I want you to share with everybody, there's a couple things about turkeys. Now, I'm going to bring out a couple of these birds. So I got 2 birds. We'll be going into a little bit more detail here shortly. But with these birds, you want to make sure to keep them refrigerated. Now, we have one turkey that is a wild turkey, and we also have a commercially produced turkey. So I'm going to show you the differences in the anatomy very quickly. It's very easy to see. It's visible. But when you're preparing turkey, how you care for it in the beginning is very important. The reason we're getting this stuffing out of the way, and a mistake a lot of people can make not knowing, is they'll put warm or even hot stuffing into a cold bird. And here's the problem with that. With the long cooking period, what happens is that the outside of the bird begins to cook, while inside you have this thing where the temperature is not in a food safety zone. So you need it either below 4 degrees, or what's Fahrenheit of 4 degrees again? 40, like your refrigerator keeps it, or you need it above about 70. So it's either got to basically be cold or it's got to be hot. Anywhere in between for an extended period, and you can have bacteria grow, and that's what causes foodborne illnesses. So what I want you to do is I want you to make sure to get your stuffing out of the way. Even doing it the night before is a brilliant idea, because what you can do is you put it in the fridge, and then you can rest assured that when you stuff the turkey, that it's ready to go.
We've got people asking what the score is on this celery. They're saying it's like a Boone and Crockett 250 or so because it's so big.
Okay, sorry, you had me completely lost there.
I'm
sorry. I'm focused on turkey and safety.
I didn't know you could score celery.
Yeah, I know. That's
food tape, new product right there.
Yeah, no, that food tape. That's right. We got a big one here,
on the
folks.
edge of the knife, right there.
I don't know. It's about would you say it's a 4.5 or a 5.5 year celery?
Something like that.
So listen, we've got right now the team at Botech is going to be generating a winner. I can tell you right now they're going to be generating that winner. We'll be announcing that here very shortly. So let's keep going. We got to do some leek. We'll set this aside. Just pop that over there. You're going to love these recipes. That bourbon pecan pie. You know what, Code? I think we could probably use one more carrot, but I want to show you this. So the leek is something that is just beautiful. It's one of my more favorite ingredients. More so because it's less used. It's used not as much as you would expect. Now I'm just going to take an outside piece off this, and you'll see I'm going to use that outside piece later, but it literally comes off just like a sheath. Look how beautiful that is.
That's a beautiful leek.
Oh, it's absolutely gorgeous. So the thing about leek is the top part, that dark green part, that's not something you really want to eat. But the light green part right near the edge of that is just fine. So I'm going to take that off. You know, leek are generally, they're grown in sandy soil. Well, a lot of times they really do need to be rinsed. And the best way to rinse it is literally just to take and to slice it in half. I'm going to take and slice this into 2 halves. And I'm going to rinse that root bottom. I'll show you that cross section. Because what happens is you get a lot of sand down in that bottom. So down in the bottom here, you can see that cross section. Down in the bottom here in particular, and we'll see if there's any sand or anything in there. These are actually pretty clean. But in all those folds, it's not uncommon to get that sand in there. And so you want to make sure you give it a quick rinse. And then when you do, we'll just quarter that up and get that full.
Remember when we passed by that field where they were just harvesting the leek?
Oh man, you can smell it for a
We
mile.
were passing by in the car, and the car just all of a sudden filled with the smell of leek, and it was amazing.
So harvest time, the nice thing, of course, Thanksgiving is done at harvest time because historically, this is where everybody would go, well, how do we make out this year? And of course, great Thanksgiving comes from having abundance and having a great crop. I'm going to give these a quick rinse. So Bailey's got all that prep. You got it mixed thoroughly, I see there.
Yep.
Something that we like to do is we actually use the pan that we're going to roast the turkey in, and it makes a great place to mix the stuffing in. So if you want to dump those in there, Babe.
Yep. So we have a question. What type of onions do you use? Sweet, red, yellow?
Okay, so for cooking onions, to be honest, you could use a Vidalia, you could use a yellow onion, a white onion, a red onion. You're going to really have for this, you're really going to want to use, red are typically used for fresh recipes. Red would work, but what I'd rather use is a Vidalia, a white, or just a common yellow onion will work the best. They store really well, and they're extremely easy to work with.
And they taste really good.
And they taste really good. I'm just rinsing off this leek. Bailey, if you want to get some bay leaves, so you got some bay leaves there. Show the folks at home. They're right there in front of me.
There they are.
Show the folks at home bay leaves. So if you have access to fresh bay leaves, I love the fact that they're kind of available. These are sauteing up nicely.
Got to find the sweet focus spot on this camera. So these bay leaves, you can put bay leaves in your beer claw and stuff like that. And we've said many times, it's one of those things that you put in and you don't really think it's going to do much, but once you put it in, you can taste the difference.
The taste is incredible. So we're going to be giving away that bow soon, guys. I may or may not have the winner in hand, but we're just going to wait a little longer. But at the same time, guys, be sure, who's out there, who wants to get a bow for someone for Christmas, right? Like, another great brand is Diamond Archery. They have bows for everyone, from your kids. Grace did a video last week with her Diamond SB1.
Hey, go grab Grace's bow so she's got it.
But it's great. They have bows from everyone, from Grace. She's 9 years old, all the way up to people of ages. You can never stop hunting. I'm sure there's some 95-year-old hunters out there somewhere, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, so Diamond has also, they've got an exciting giveaway that we're going to tell you about at the top of the next hour.
Yeah.
So you're not going to want to miss that. Also, our good friends at Excalibur Crossbows, we also have another exciting giveaway to announce later on in the broadcast as well. So I'm just slicing up this leek. Again, keeping in mind that I don't want big chunks of leek. So I want nice, delicate, you can smell that, it smells.
Oh, it
smells
incredible.
The smell is very bright, very fresh. So that's your bow. Now, Jim Bernberg told me you never hold the bow, you always hold the bow like this, and you hold it in the air like this.
This is a great gift for Christmas because Grace has this, and like she said in her video, this will be the last bow she ever needs to buy because this bow is adjustable from 7 pounds to 70.
Yeah, so that honestly blew my mind that they had that big of a range from 7 pounds to 70. That means like anyone from Grace's age to me can go all the way up to 70 pounds of draw.
But even for Grace, for target, when we first set it, we set it very low, and what happens is, it's a little bit like working in the kitchen. Well, yeah, it's a confidence builder. So you've never slung an arrow before, and you're like, oh my gosh, it feels like this thing's going to explode on me as it goes down. And then you realize you watch this 10-year-old girl begin to sling arrows, set at 20 pounds.
I just have to bring this one in. I just got this bow. This is the BT Mag X, and honestly, guys, I fired this for the first time yesterday. I got it all tuned up with the new sight and everything. This bow is unbelievable, especially for a guy like me. I have a 29.5-inch draw length, and honestly, this bow,
big speed.
Honestly, I couldn't believe the size of it, the size of the cams, how fluid it was. And honestly, it was just the perfect thing. If you're a little bit of a bigger guy and you have those longer arms, this bow is the perfect bow for you. It looks like a long bow.
Yeah, I got it. Go ahead.
I got to show you guys the beautiful medley of vegetables here.
So, we've kind of adopted a U.S. military term, which is slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And I'm telling you this right now, what you're seeing here is what is so important about cooking. You need to make sure that you take the time to work out these ingredient bases. So as you begin to develop flavor like this, so as we continue to add these, what's going to happen is we're developing an incredible flavor base. So I'm going to keep going here. We're going to season that a little bit.
Honestly, the mirepoix is the smell that'll fill your house for the day.
Oh, it smells
amazing.
incredible. So the next thing I want to do is I'm going to do an onion here. Now everybody I know is waiting to hear from Bowtech, but we also want to hear from you to hear what you're cooking. And more importantly, let us know if you have any questions. If you've had any struggles in the past with any of your Thanksgiving dishes, right now is a great time to ask us. You know, we're professional chefs, been cooking for a long time and made a lot of mistakes and then figured out how to do it right. So here I've got the yellow onion. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to trim off the root. Now I trim off the root because if that's a fresh onion, that's where the dirt is going to be. I want to take and set that aside. The next thing I'll do is I'm just going to trim off the tip of that, just to make sure we've got a fresh onion. Slice it in half.
And a flat side to cut from, so for safety.
Exactly. So always working with a flat side, it helps a lot. And then I just literally peel one layer or possibly two, depending on how fresh the onion is. You can see how beautiful these are. So these would be new onions from our area here in Elgin County. So we're North Shore of Lake Erie, for those of you wondering. We're sitting here on top of on our new farm. Yep. It's the highest point in our county, so we have a really good view. And boy, I'll tell you, we sure are enjoying. For those of you who've been watching, we sure are enjoying the new farm. Can hardly wait to show you all the things that we're going to do in that field.
Next year, you guys are going to be blown with the stuff we're doing out here. I'm so excited; it's not even funny.
Yeah. So listen. So this is the root bottom, and this is the top. What you want to do is you want to slice with that root tip away from you. And what happens is the root tip will hold all of those petals. They're really petals. It's a bulb. It'll hold all of those petals together. Literally just slice it like this. Good sharp knife is really important. Yep. And then a bisection. What I'm doing, or a cross section, what I'm doing here is I'm literally just making a fine dice, or a brunoise. So this is something that will make sure that there's no large bites. I take the time actually to make sure that each one is done uniform. And the reason for that is I don't want to have any big chunks. I want to make sure I've got nice bite-sized pieces. And then you can see at the end, I just simply discard the root, and I've got beautiful diced onions.
And it's a lot cleaner, a lot safer. A lot of people to make little cubes. They'll set the onion down and chop it a bunch of times like this. And it's kind of, I myself have actually cut my thumb doing that once.
Yep.
Back before I knew. And this is just a lot safer. And you get that really uniform technique. And again, that's really important if you're doing something, say like a mirepoix, to do all those things in uniform cutting size so that they all cook at the same time. They're all done at the same time, so you don't have a hard carrot and a soft onion. That's never good.
No. Okay, so onions going in. Smells amazing. So now it's important to talk about seasoning. Because we're going to be seasoning in levels, you might say to yourself, well, I'm going to season the cavity of the bird, or I'm going to season the outside of the bird. Keep in mind that the turkey's very big, very large protein, lots of thick meat. So we want to make sure we get that flavor all the way through. Now, now you might use a poultry spice or poultry seasoning. Yep. The poultry seasoning, the main ingredients are sage and thyme and rosemary. So of course you can use fresh as well. What I want you to do, Bay, is I want you to take from this. Yes. And I do a couple things. I'm going to put some inside, but I'm also going to pick these leaves. Literally going to take and pinch them, taking the stem off, and I'm literally going to rain those down in here and add that. Yeah, I love the pop of freshness that it brings. Yeah, so do a couple of those. And then what Dakota's going to do is he'll strip off. So you have a couple different varieties of thyme. Sometimes it's very woody, and you don't want to put that stem in at all. Yep. This is actually a variety that I can take, and I'll show you the difference. It's quite soft, so I can actually cut the stem as well. And I'll tell you, the stem on these is just as fragrant as the leaves. And I'll just make sure that it's down into like little bite-sized pieces.
Here's something that you would see. This is a piece that's a little bit more woody.
Yep.
You'll see that kind of woodier area on it there.
And I'm just raining this now down on top of the bread. We've got all kinds of flavors going here. I want to show you another technique. Today is all about technique. So listen, if you're just joining us, grab yourself a coffee, sit down, grab a notepad. We want to have this conversation with you. We want to show you all kinds of really great techniques.
I'd like to thank everyone for joining us. We're going live to over like 15 pages right now, and we're just getting, can we answer some questions?
Yeah, let's answer some questions.
We're getting lit up with questions here,
Okay,
guys.
let's go.
Okay, here we go. Should I cook a turkey in a bag to hold the juice?
Actually, it's a great point because putting it in a bag would, of course, contain it. But what we're going to show you is we're going to cover it with foil.
Yeah.
So what you do, but they do bring up a very good point. A dry turkey is a turkey that you have not controlled the environment.
Yeah.
So we want to control the environment for almost 90% of the cooking time. We want to keep that foil on. Now, one of the things I used to do when I was a kid is we were always so concerned about basting the turkey.
Basting, yeah.
And what happens? Every time you open the oven, you lose heat. Every time you open that, you lose all that moisture. It's interesting that the very thing that we were taught to do in basting the turkey to keep it moist is the thing that actually works against it.
Yeah.
So imagine what we'll do is we'll put that tent of foil on, and then what happens is I have a permanent humid environment where the moisture cannot escape, and it keeps that, it's a small amount of pressure, so what it does is it keeps that moisture inside the turkey rather than every time you open it up, letting it out. Now, once the turkey reaches almost doneness, so at about, there's maybe 30 minutes to go in the cooking, then we'll take that top off and just let the heat
That crispy skin.
golden crisp it up. Want to make sure that's done, and that's a great time to baste.
And that being said, we had another question talking about cooking the turkey breast side down, so we are not going to be doing that.
We're not going to be doing that. Breast side down, breast side up, both will work. All I can tell you is that some of the logic there is that because the breast cooks sooner, that if you put it upright, that the top will cook faster. The problem with that thinking is now with convection ovens, you have completely even heat throughout. Our Fulgor Milano range, any convection oven will get heat throughout the entire roast. And what happens is when it's covered, it doesn't matter if it's upside down, sideways, it's going to have the same consistent amount of heat throughout the cooking time.
And another question we have is someone was saying that Russell Higgins was saying that he hasn't quite gone out quite turkey hunting because he's heard wild turkey is very gamey.
Right.
And I mean, so our experience so far is there is a difference between a commercial turkey and a wild turkey. There is a difference.
I think now's the time to look at that.
And so the thing is, here's a wild turkey here. This bird.
I
was gonna say.
Can you bring out that black board there for me, please?
Yes. And so there is a difference between the two, but we've taken both older tom turkeys and younger, and there's also been a difference there. So the younger turkey obviously tasted a little less, what you want to call gamey, just had less of that wild turkey flavor as it was younger. And this bird here, this bird was 22 and a half pounds. He was an older tom. I'm sure you see him in our videos there. So he was an older tom, and you can see this dark meat here, eh?
Yeah, get another one of these boards out. We're going to do a side by side here. Grab those paper towels as well.
We're going to do a side-by-side comparison here just to show you.
So you have to know, for me as a professional chef, I'll get that out for you.
Yep.
You got it there?
I got it. That out. Oh, you should grab that heart.
And this is why we're doing two birds. We're doing both a wild turkey and
Spin it
a
around
commercial
so it's the
turkey
same
for
size.
this very reason, so that we can show you the differences and you can be extremely accurate when you're cooking both.
So these are the Bowtech twins, okay?
Why don't we turn them around? So
we definitely,
okay,
good idea.
Staring down the business end.
Okay, so you can see the biggest difference here, obviously. This pronounced breastbone, that is remarkable. That guy goes over there. So you can see that incredibly pronounced breastbone. And then here, the size of these, the white meat or the breast meat, these are honestly, like, look at the difference. These are honestly 3-4 times the size by volume, by mass. But you can see, the legs on these guys, if any of you have ever hunted the wild turkey, you know those son of a guns, they run like the wind. So, first of all, this has been brined, and what I want to talk to you about for brining, so this is actually coming along. I'm going to come back to brining in just one moment, but I want to, I've got to put this on so that our stuffing can cool down.
And I'd just like to say something for me. When I first started eating wild game, I didn't really notice the gaminess, especially with venison, but with the turkey, I really did. And the one thing I did is instead of, because you have a mindset of turkey from buying conventional turkeys from the grocery store, I took it in my mind as kind of thinking of it as a different meat. No different than turkey is different than chicken. So I was like, this is turkey, but I thought of this as almost like I'm trying a new meat.
Well,
and that really helped me get over it.
Especially because you're looking at a completely different diet as well.
Well, and that goes to someone's question. They said, did we notice a difference in geological location? And that we have. So here in Ontario, we've hunted turkeys in our area. In our area in southwestern Ontario is mainly, it's all agriculture, corn, soybeans, and so on.
My arm's getting tired. I got to show this.
Okay, show them that.
So I just want to show you this for a second. You can see how that 1 pound of butter, while it seemed like a lot initially, that right now it's completely soaked that up. And then I'm going to put this on top. I'll hold. You finish up here.
Yeah, and then we hunted turkey up north here in Ontario, where they would be much more wild. They're basically forest-dwelling birds. No crops for them to eat, and there was definitely a distinction in flavor difference. That being said, also with the deer, because their diet is completely different.
Okay, so let's get a close-up of this. I want to show you how we put this together. So you can see I've got a nice large pan. There's a reason why I always put it in the pan. First of all, it's just a little bit easier. You know, the least amount possible of cleanup always helps on a big day. Also, in this case, we're going to be making a pan gravy. So anything that kind of gets left in the bottom of this pan will be a good thing. Before you season that bay, I want you to work that all through there.
Sounds good to me.
A lot of folks are asking about smoking turkey.
Yeah, smoked turkey, also deep fried turkey. So obviously smoking turkey is going to be about the same pace as baking it in your oven. So a smoked turkey you're going to do at a lower temperature over a longer period of time. What we want to do, and with the wild to table movement, is we want to make sure that we make this food as palatable to everybody as possible. Now, as you know, smoking adds a lot of strong flavor. Now, that strong flavor will match nicely with the strong flavor or stronger flavor of wild bird, but let me tell you what brining does. So brining, and what I did, I had a flavor base, water, about half cup of sugar, half cup of salt, and then we added some flavor. I had a little bit of wine, you could add beer, you could add whatever you want, but what that does, imagine it's just like an exchange program. So you take the more intense flavor of a wild bird, and you take the brine, and what happens is they exchange. So a little bit of that heaviness will come out of the bird, and a little bit of that briny, beautiful, flavored liquid will go into the bird. What happens is you mellow those flavors.
And that was a perfect, someone asked, did we inject this turkey with any flavor, right?
No.
So we didn't inject it because we're going to basically be stuffing it with this beautiful medley of flavors, and that's basically going to inject it anyways.
Yeah, so injecting the bird, the thought's there with an injector needle. You know, obviously, if you have a real potent mix to inject into the turkey, that can add flavor. But, you know, it's a little bit of, I can tell you with this recipe, it's really not necessary. What I've got here is a chicken stock. You use vegetable stock, but I'm just going to use this, and I'm going to pour this over top of the stock. And then I'm going to get Bailey to work that in. So once again, I'm adding humidity. I'm adding a liquid. And by adding this chicken stock and stuffing it inside, I'm guaranteeing that I will not have a dry turkey. And I want to tell everybody that's watching, when we're done this broadcast, obviously we can't stay live for the full roasting of the turkey, but we're going to be coming back live, and I will slice it open for you, and I'll prove to you how beautiful, juicy, and flavorful this will be.
So, I think it's time to give away the boat.
Is it? Okay, get the girls, let's go.
So we'd like to thank everyone for entering this contest. Now keep in mind, you can still text Chef to 77453, and you'll still get a notification every time we go live. So be sure to do that, because you're not going to want to miss all of these amazing recipes. But it is time to give away the realm.
Okay, so let's first of all, here, Blake, let's stay.
They're front and center.
You stand up there. Let me see. Let's see. Where are they from, first of all?
Okay, let's see. We got so many people who are watching us from the woods right now.
Oh, really?
Watching
Okay,
us in the
well.
stand saying they got bucks walking by.
Nice. We gotta check and make sure you get them out of there.
Stop
Okay.
watching and shoot.
So our winner.
Okay, hold on a second.
Yeah. So they're from Pennsylvania.
From the great state of Pennsylvania. What's Pennsylvania? What's the license plate say? Pennsylvania is the. Somebody from Pennsylvania, tell me the state saying. Come on in here.
Okay.
So the winner's from Pennsylvania, and this is not the actor.
No. Okay.
What's that? Okay. Say. Don't say it. Say. I'm gonna tell you. Say. Ready? Say it nice and loud. 3, 2, 1.
George Burns.
Right there. One more time.
George Burns.
George Burns.
George Burns of Pennsylvania.
Of Pennsylvania. You are the proud new owner of a Bowtech Realm. And we want to say. What's that?
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
And you're going to love it.
Yeah, we want to say happy Thanksgiving and congratulations.
Yep.
Now, for those of you who are still watching, don't you go away because we have diamond bows to give away.
Yep.
We've got Excalibur crossbows to give away.
Yep.
And we're going to tell you, once we get these birds stuffed and in the oven, we're going to tell you how you can win those bows and crossbows. Thank you, girls. We'll see you in a little bit. Here, take your stool with you. Okay, so now, Bailey is going to season this with some salt and pepper. Again, if you're enjoying this broadcast, throw some hearts, throw some thumbs up. Let us know that we're doing a good job. We appreciate it.
I just thought of a really cool idea. I haven't run it by you guys yet, but I'm just going to say it. Next week is actually Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And all of you watching are going to be cooking. And I want one of you guys to send in one of your favorite Thanksgiving recipes. It could be anything.
Yeah.
And I want to cook it next week on Surefire Saturday.
Yeah, that
I
sounds
think
good.
that'd be really good.
Since you're doing that, what we'll do actually, tell us if you make some of this that we show you today. Send us a picture, tag us on the Outdoor Chef, tag us, and next week we'll pick. You have to tag us. We'll pick a winner, and we'll give away a pair of Vortex binoculars.
Vortex binos, that's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
We're going to give you a pair of Vortex binos, but you got to work for it. We want to see your bird. We want to see your recipe. Yes, you see me. Yes, we want to see and we want to hear from you.
Tag the Outdoor Chef in your picture of your Thanksgiving dinner.
I feel like we're on the Oprah show. We're just giving stuff away.
That's for next year, right? Okay, let's get back. Let's focus
let's get
here.
back to work.
So the venison sausage, and I got to tell you guys something. You're going to be looking at this sausage going, that's not quite dark enough for venison sausage. By accident, I had the last venison sausage with my breakfast the other morning. So we're using a really good pork sausage right now, but I didn't want to pull your leg on that one. So Bailey, if you can split these open.
Bowtech viewers are too smart.
Yeah, I know. They would know. They would be like, hey, that's not venison sausage. So I'm just going to set these birds aside for a minute while we work on this.
Yeah. This is all seasoned. That's all good. Everything's
That's ready to go.
right in there.
So tons of flavor going on there. We're gonna now these recipes. You'll see these. We'll make sure to have these posted. They're written and ready to go. We'll be sure to have these ready for you. I'm just going to double check, make sure that while we're yakking here, I haven't forgot any ingredients. Yep, bay leaf. Okay, so what you do with your sausage is very, very simple. You literally just, rather than having the casing in there, and I'll get you to do this, Bay, you literally just open up that casing, take the casing off, and then what you have left is basically, for venison sausage, most of the time,
Who's the winner's name again?
Yeah, we good?
Yep.
Okay, so sorry, a little technical difficulty there. So we're just now. So did the viewer's name go out accurately? Did everybody hear it, Code?
Yep.
Okay, good. So congratulations
From the Keystone State.
from the Keystone State. Thank you, Pennsylvania, the Keystone State. Congratulations again, Mr. Burns. I know you're going to absolutely love that Bowtech realm. So I'm going to turn the heat on medium-high. Want to saute up this sausage. Want to get enough. Make sure that when you're sauteing, you don't crowd the pan. We want to develop some really nice flavor and caramelize it at the same time. Get all that flavor going. We're going to tuck that inside our beautiful stuffing. So Bailey, that'll be the last one we do. And then we're going to get to, now because it's cold outside, what I'm going to do is I'm literally going to take and I'm going to set this stuffing out on the barbecue. And when I do, hey Cody, you want to follow me to the barbecue? I want to show you something that I got started earlier this morning. I'm going to show you how to do it in just a minute. But this butternut squash soup that we made, oftentimes, especially at Thanksgiving, your range is full. So you got a turkey in there, maybe you want to do a pie. So having a really good barbecue, and my Coyote Outdoor Living barbecue is my go-to barbecue. Having a good barbecue gives you an extra hand in the kitchen. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set this aside, and I'm going to let that cool down. Remember that, I want to get that below 4 degrees, below 40 degrees Fahrenheit, so that it's food safe when I put it in the bird. Now,
and I don't know if y'all can see here, we're doing a Thanksgiving dinner, but it's like a perfect day for deer hunting out there.
yeah, this is how much we love you. We're not in the stands. Excuse me. So let's have a quick look here. Now I put these in. These were in for about an hour and 20 minutes. Look at that. I mean, come on. This is absolute perfection. So you can see that you can use your barbecue as a convection oven. The shape of the barbecue, its radiant heat and the way that it moves around, it's a perfect place to do something like these beautiful butternut squash. So I'm just going to leave these on. This has just been turned off. So I'll let those cool down. We'll be harvesting that flesh in just a few minutes when we start to do our squash soup. Now, the pan is starting up over here, and all I'm going to do is just make sure to toss that a few times. We'll saute that up, and then I'll put that inside that beautiful stuffing.
Just on a separate note, George, everyone on Bowtech saying congratulations. Everyone's happy for you, man. They're congratulating you on that bow. And Robin said Thanksgiving is his birthday as well, so happy birthday in advance for that week. Yep.
No,
It's his
really?
birthday, yep. And then
So George's birthday is on Thanksgiving?
No, it's not George's. Robin.
Okay, sorry. Sorry, okay. I thought
really-
if it was George's
lucky,
birthday, we really got it going on.
Okay, and someone asked, is that smoked sausage?
This is not smoked sausage. It's just a spicy sausage. So just, frankly, any sausage that you really enjoy eating will be a nice complement to this. So if you're taking notes and you want to see what's going on, this is a great time to grab yourself a coffee and maybe grab a pen and paper. Keep in mind, though, that all these recipes will be posted as soon as the broadcast is finished. And don't forget, we'll be coming back with a live reveal of every single recipe. So this sausage smells amazing. What I've got here is I've got fresh cranberries. You might ask yourself, fresh or frozen? I'm telling you, it doesn't matter. There's no need to thaw it. If you have frozen, dump them in frozen. These are fresh cranberries.
I remember the first time I learned how cranberries are grown.
Yeah.
That was amazing to me.
So fresh cranberries are going in. They've had a quick rinse. Now, we're going to go through this recipe. This is a beautiful. Can you find me the microplane? Yeah. So cranberries you've seen many times, I'm sure. Cranberry orange muffins, cranberry orange drink. Well, cranberry and orange go together beautifully. So what I've got is I've got a beautiful navel orange. And I'm going to use the juice, but I'm also going to use the zest. Now the zest has all of those beautiful oils in it. The zest is really important to use, and man, it'll smell good. Oh, yeah. And so all you need to do is just use a microplane or a fine
This is
fine
one
grater.
tool in the kitchen with all of our recipes that you can't be without. The zest of any is amazing.
Of any citrus.
Of
Yeah.
any citrus, yes.
Yep.
Lemon, orange, anything. It's great. Adds a flavor that when it's not there, you realize it.
Okay, so what I need now is whenever you're going to juice something, you just give it a quick roll. It loosens up all those little pockets of juice. Also, your hands smell fantastic for the rest of the day. And I'm just going to use a ream. If you don't have a ream, usually if you don't have a ream, what you can do is you can use a pair of tongs like this. It's like a power assist. So if you can't quite squeeze it, this will help.
Some leverage on it.
Yeah, exactly. This helps really, does a really good job.
Yeah. This, the ream does a great job too. Gets
I'll let
all
you
the-
do that. I'll let you guys do that. I'm gonna.
Get some,
Yep. No, that's good. Just get that.
Citrus smells
This
incredible.
citrus smell good.
Oh,
Want some orange juice?
yeah, I do. Yeah, it would be great to use smoked sausage there. Just add that other level of flavor, right?
Oh yeah, like smoked sausage.
Smoked
would be great.
venison sausage
Again,
would be awesome.
all I'm wanting to do with any recipe right now, especially if you're introducing wild game to
Yep.
new people, and that's what this is all about. Over the next year, all we're going to do
Yep.
is do recipes that make this so that, you know, the people who are a little bit of a skeptic,
Yep.
they start to enjoy it. Because as soon as they enjoy it, we get that out of everybody's heads about it
Yep.
being gamey.
Yep.
That will really change hearts and minds. So I'm just going to check. So
Yeah.
here's the thing. You want to grab the port.
Pork, yeah.
Yeah, the port, and we're going to use brown sugar. Now, port is a fortified wine, which means you have wine and you got a little bit of booze in there. So the two together is magically delicious. It's so fragrant and so delicious. Using a ruby port, you literally just pour that in, give it a good glug. Keep checking that recipe for me,
A
bud.
little more than the glove coat.
So now keep in mind that as we cook it, the alcohol value will be gone. So you don't have to worry about serving this to kids. It's a nice rich flavor. And if you really want to make sure that every single bit of the alcohol is gone, put it into the pan first and you can heat it up. When it comes to a boil, you'll be getting rid of all that. So in with the brown sugar. Now we learned from last week. Now help me review last week. I want you to go back. If you're looking for a really good dessert, go back to last week's broadcast and check out, we made a pumpkin bread.
yeah.
So that pumpkin bread,
Pumpkin bread pudding, man. That was just
delicious.
incredible.
So if you're watching then, you'll learn and know that brown sugar is not only just sugar, it also has molasses and a really nice flavor profile.
Yeah, we did a whole thing. We showed the molasses. If you've never seen molasses before, and molasses is made out of dates, right?
No,
Or sorry,
sugar beets.
Sugar beets.
Well,
sorry.
sugar beets, sugar cane,
Yeah.
a combination of things. So cinnamon stick. Now I want to put some whole cloves in here, but if I put whole cloves in, I'm just going to lose them. So what I do is I just take, and this is why I use a whole cinnamon stick.
Yeah, you just shove them in the
You
cinnamon
just
stick.
shove them in the cinnamon stick, and then you won't lose them, but you'll get that incredible flavor. Don't overdo it with the cloves. Cloves, of course.
Very pungent and powerful. If
Yep.
you ever, little trick is if you ever have a toothache,
Yep.
you ever just got a tooth pull, or you have a toothache, you take a whole clove, put it in your mouth right on that spot, and it goes completely numb.
Yep. So imagine we want a little numb, but not a lot. So cloves are going in. Those sausage smell good. All right, so let's keep checking here. What do we need now? We got cinnamon, ruby port. So star anise for me are really the they're the big showstopper here. Star anise is licorice.
Smells like black licorice.
It smells fantastic. So what you have to do is you just have to fish out. Make sure you have some whole ones so you can fish them out later. And I honestly can't put enough of this in. So star anise in. I'm going to put 3 or 4 of them in. And then I'm just going to literally add. You got one. Let's put one more orange in there, just the juice. And that's it. The nice thing about making a cranberry sauce yourself, you know, the canned stuff is fine. We say it all the time. Use whatever you have access to. Food is all about sharing the food, not about the snobbery that sometimes goes with it. But listen, if you have access to fresh berries or frozen berries, try this recipe. Even if you have a couple of these ingredients, it's going to be elevated considerably. Plus, smells great, looks great, and don't forget, for your moist maker the next day, right?
Oh, yeah.
Joey,
Oh, yeah.
for your sandwiches the next day, there is nothing Is it Ross, the voice maker? Okay, sorry. There's nothing. I figured it was food. It was Joey. You put cranberry sauce on that sandwich. And why the cranberry sauce? So cranberry sauce, think about how much different heavy food goes with Thanksgiving. The difference, or the nice thing about cranberry sauce is slightly tart and slightly, a little bit bitter. So it cuts through that a little bit. That's what makes it such a nice compliment to the turkey. That's it, man. Perfect. Okay, grab our stuffing bag. Now, what I'm going to do with this,
I love it. People are like saying they're like in the stand hunting right now, like watching. If you guys are in the stand hunting right now, let us know where you're hunting in or what you're hunting. I love it.
Send us a picture in the stand.
I love that. Put that right in the comments. Take a picture of yourself in the stand.
If this doesn't motivate you to fill your freezer, I don't know what will.
Send us a picture of your bow in the stand. That'd be cool.
So, what you're hunting with. What are you guys hunting with right now?
Yeah. So what we want to do with this cranberry sauce now is, I love recipes where you can kind of set it and forget it. With this, we need a little bit of salt.
Okay.
Even when you're doing sweet recipes, you should always be thinking about adding a little bit of salt. You do it in your baking. I want you to do it here as well, because the little bit of salt, perfect. That little bit of seasoning, all that's going to do is just going to accentuate and make a nice flavor profile.
That reminds me, someone was asking, are we using unsalted or salted butter?
So, great question, unsalted or salted butter. We're always using unsalted, and the reason for that is, especially think about, the best example I have is a soup. So let's say we have it in a soup, perfectly seasoned, right? And then we're concentrating that flavor. Instead of having it perfectly seasoned now, it's going to be over salty. So if you just have salted butter, that's okay too, but just keep in mind that when you're adding salt to your recipe, back it off a little bit. We don't want it to be over seasoned, so that's a great question, thank you. So let's get this on just like medium heat. I'm going to cover that up, and just literally they're going to boil those cranberries. They're going to start busting open. They're going to soak up all that flavor. Once they've done that, I'm going to uncover it. And I'm going to reduce it a little bit. What I mean by reduce is I'm going to concentrate the flavors. I'm going to get rid of some of the water. Whenever you're concentrating a liquid or a sauce, what you're doing is you're just evaporating water. You're leaving all the flavor and you're concentrating that flavor. So, just a quick note, if you're just joining us, it's an absolute pleasure to have you joining us for our American Thanksgiving special, sponsored by Bowtech Archery.
We're starting to get some recipes down now. We're slowly but surely making our way through all of these.
That's right. So now what I'm going to do is, Code, you want to... I'm just going to pour off a little bit of this excess fat.
Okay.
I'll just put it in a cup here.
Silver bowl?
No, I got it. Sorry, I'll just put it in a bowl. A little bit of this fat is fine. Of course, it's pork fat. I just don't want it to be like overwhelming. Oh, I don't know, man. Look at that flavor. I'm leaving that in there. That's too good. That's too good. That's why, the food coma that comes afterwards, it's okay. It's all good.
Just let it
It's all good.
Embrace it.
Embrace it.
Everybody needs to go down.
Be the sausage. So I'm just going to fold this together. Yeah, okay, you go ahead and do that. Fold that together nicely. Pardon me.
The smell coming from this now, between that mirepoix, even the salt and pepper, and the sausage, it's starting to smell amazing now. And that sage, I just smelled that sage too.
The sage is nice. I'm just going to take a few large sprigs. I'm just going to take some sprigs now of thyme. We'll fold that in there as well. So you can see that stuffing. You can imagine doing that stuffing ahead of time, how much time it would save you the morning of Thanksgiving. Do this the night before or even 2 days before. Make sure to refrigerate it because it's got chicken stock and butter, but this is something that will only get better in time. Think about the best soups, the best sauces. They all get better with time. It's going to be the same thing with this.
Here's a question I'm going to throw at you. What's better, Thanksgiving dinner or Thanksgiving leftovers? That's a common argument we have in our family. The Thanksgiving sandwich or dinner, which one do you guys like better?
So is it leftovers or is it the dinner for you? Do you want what comes afterwards or is it the first serving that really gets you going? Listen, I just want to remind you that we've got a bourbon pecan pie that we're going to be preparing here shortly. I'm going to teach you how to make Brussels sprouts in a way that everybody's going to love them. That's got to go back outside. And then, you know what, Bay? I need some cleanup in aisle 11 here. We got to keep rolling. We got a question?
Daniel Schilling is saying he's turned many people into loving wild game. He was out this morning for a little bit. Not much movement in Iowa, but he's got 2 doses down with the Insanity bow from Bowtech this year. Still waiting for the big guy.
Nice. Very,
When you're
very
in
nice.
Iowa, you can get her done.
All right, Iowa. Thank you, Iowa. Yes, Cindy.
While you were busy cooking, there was some deer out here.
Okay, so we do have deer in the field. That would have been information that was helpful a little while ago. But we got deer in the field. It's a beautiful time of year. It's a great time for family. You know, we talked about it last week on our Remembrance Day broadcast about those people that we got to call. I got to say it. Thanksgiving is the time where you got to reach out, maybe to an old friend we haven't seen in a little bit, maybe to a parent, sibling. Thanksgiving is the best time because everybody's hearts and minds are open and ready, and it's a great time to be able to be thankful for everything that you have and think about the year past and the year ahead. I know that's what I'm thinking about.
Jeremiah's already asking what we're doing for a Christmas special. And we just so happen that the 23rd is a Saturday. So
It
we're
is.
right before Christmas.
Yeah. Okay, so let's talk Christmas here just for 1 minute. Now, Diamond Archery is giving away a bow. And it's going to be available to you.
Yep.
We're going to close. It closes on the 15th. So, as a matter of fact, can you bring that up online? Dakota's going to bring... Huh? Dakota's going to bring it up right now. Okay. So we're going to bring that up. I want to talk to you a little bit about that. So that's the one we wanted to announce, that Diamond is giving away a bow. You know, Bowtech gives away bows, and they don't, you know, they don't do it super often. They do it because they're excited to share something. They're excited to get you excited about what they're doing in terms of the technology. I know the guys who've been working on this launch. They've been working like 20 hours a day. They've been putting their heart and soul into this because for them, it's about the life. Yep. It's not just about the bow, it's about what this bow and the other bows in the lineup do to make your life better, to make you better. Let's face it, as archers, it's all about precision, accuracy, timing, and the thrill of being a true craftsman. So, go ahead. I'm going to keep rolling here.
You guys have been watching just a few of the people behind these bows over the past little while with their live hunts out in the field. These are guys who are in the field just like you, and when they look and talk and think about these bows, they're making it for their own lifestyle, and they're matching it to that hunter lifestyle, and you guys live in that too, and it creates this great relationship, and it honestly, it creates a great bow.
So what we're going to do now, so we've got, let's just do a quick recap. We've got our stuffing ready. I've shown you the birds, the Bowtech twins.
We've given away a realm.
We've given away a realm. Now we're going to be talking about the Diamond giveaway, and that's a Christmas giveaway. And I'll let you know right now, the Outdoor Chef is going to go live for Surefire Saturdays, and we're going to do 2 Christmas broadcasts. Yep. The first one is going to be baking. Now, my grandmother, my mom, Cindy's mom, Cindy's grandmother, these guys, they were all, I was at an event yesterday, and there was all kinds of like sugar cookies and squares. We're going to do a baking segment. So this is one you're not going to want to miss. Following that, we're going to do a Christmas segment. So if you enjoyed today, remember, we're going to have one in the next couple of weeks. Tell your friends, tag a friend, and if you would, please subscribe to the Outdoor Chef YouTube page. That's where we go live all the time.
So that bow giveaway, we're going to be giving away the Diamond Edge SB1, which is actually that bow that you saw earlier, which is Grace's bow. That's that bow that is good for a beginner hunter all the way up to an expert hunter. 7 pounds to 70 pounds. You know, whether you're target shooting at 7 pounds as a kid or hunting Kodiaks at 70 pounds in Alaska, it can get the job done.
Yeah, do you know what? Yeah, it's compactness and it's light.
Yeah. And we're going to be giving this away. The giveaway last date is December 15th, so you don't want to miss it. Look at that.
And easy adjust too for the poundage. You know, it's just a great bow. Like Code said, 7 to 70. And it's just an all-around great bow. Grace loves it. She has absolutely no trouble for it. And as for a Christmas gift, if you've got young archers or an old archer, that it's just perfect.
It's a perfect Christmas gift if you can give it up after you win it.
So what I've got now is I just have some slab bacon.
Oh, yeah.
You can use pancetta. You can use any pork product will go actually really, really nice with this. You could use sausage. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use this beautiful, nice little slab of bacon here. Don't need a ton. The bacon is going to add two things to those Brussels sprouts. It's going to make it crispy, but it's also going to add, so it's a texture thing and it's a flavor thing.
I forgot about the Brussels sprouts.
Yep.
Just to help you guys out a little bit, I personally am not a huge fan of Brussels sprouts by themselves. I never liked them. I'm probably going to say probably never, but when my dad breaks out this recipe for Thanksgiving, stuff like this, between the bacon and the butter and the salt and the pepper, I love them. They're honestly almost one of my favorite things when it comes to Thanksgiving, and I hate them. So you guys are going to see, try this recipe if you don't like them, and you'll see the difference.
Okay, so what we're going to do here, can I get another board?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to, I've got bacon.
Jeremiah's asking if Grace got a deer this year.
No,
So here in Ontario, you actually can't hunt until you're 12 years old. So
Yeah.
Grace is 10, so she's got two more years of practice, and then she can get herself a deer.
Yeah,
She's
but
gonna be hitting
here,
those bullseyes in 2 years.
yeah, and so then, imagine for her how much anticipation she has and how much excitement she's experiencing just getting prepared. But, preparation is an important part of hunting.
Yep.
And part of the whole conservation stewardship of hunting is being able to pass it down in a responsible way. And that's what I love about starting them off young. You start them off young, she's seen deer hanging in the barn.
Yep.
She's tasted the deer. She understands what's going on. And it's helping to shift her mind. Yep. So instead of, and this is actually, I had somebody comment I had a discussion yesterday about this. Instead of somebody thinking to themselves how backwards the idea of, they see something coming out of a package and they feel like, oh, okay, that's a good thing. And then they see something coming out of, let's say, our barn, and they're like, oh, that's like sketchy. How wrong that thinking is. And there's nothing wrong with commercially produced meat. I'm not suggesting that there is. But the idea that somehow something that runs free, that then is taken in a heartbeat and then becomes part of your diet is less healthy or less responsible or less inviting in any way. I can assure you, as a professional chef, I have never in my life tasted or experienced the flavor, the texture, or even the color of what comes out of a wild experience, whether it be black bear, turkey, white-tailed deer, and for us, the exposure limit is just beginning to increase.
Well, I mean, imagine how many things we haven't hunted yet, right?
Oh, so I've got a hot pan. Important to have a hot pan. Bacon's going in. Everybody's fried bacon before. So
Someone said new hashtag, bacon and bow tie.
Bacon and bow tie. So just make sure to rinse your hands. You get a little bit of a log jam here. Babe, maybe you could clean up a little bit of this log jam here, and I'm gonna start working on these Brussels sprouts. So Brussels sprouts are part of the cabbage family. So that's why, you might think when you taste them, there's that little bit of bitterness. Now, that bitterness, of course, comes when you don't get rid of it. Great way to get rid of bitterness is to saute it. So what happens when you saute the sprouts is that it does get rid of liquid. You will get rid of water through steam. But what you're doing is the flavor that's coming out of it, you're caramelizing that. So you're taking the natural sugars, and all vegetables have natural sugars. You're taking those natural sugars and you're concentrating them in a way that it develops flavor, making it very pleasant. Now, one of the things that's really important to get that bitterness out of the sprouts is if I use them whole, those little leaves, there's no way for that to get out. So what I do is I nick the bottom, I take that off, and I'm going to keep these leaves as well. And then I slice that in half. Now you can see what happens. Set aside the root tip, keep the leaves, and you can see what happens is I've exposed that. So I've opened that up, so when I add heat, all of that can come out, and it'll begin to caramelize, and it'll taste absolutely great. Now these little babies, these you want to put in there because they will crisp up those leaves. They will turn out just beautifully. All right. right.
Such a long run, and you gotta, like you said, clean up on aisle 11.
Yeah, I know. There we go. Just going to keep prepping these.
And just to recap, we've started on the stuffing, on that cranberry sauce and everything there. But just to remind you guys, we got a lot coming yet. We got this bourbon pecan pie that my mom's going to be coming in soon to cook. She's just right over there. She's getting ready. What else we got here? We got the turkey still to come. We got, what else we got? We got, oh, the spiced nuts are still to come.
Spiced nuts are coming.
Those are going to be great. And we showed you guys this these great vegetables here with that mirepoix. And if you have time, especially over the week, Thanksgiving's coming up next week, take the time, get out a notepad, go through, watch this again, and write down those specific things. Even write down the recipes. We'll be releasing them after, and just kind of watch.
Yeah, so you can download and print them. And then, you know what? Just take the Outdoor Chef right off the top of that page and make that recipe your own.
Get one of those little recipe boxes. I thought that would be cool. I want to make one of those little recipe boxes, you know, that you got like 50 years of recipes in there.
Recipe box? I do. Okay, so it's really important to make sure that bacon is fully sauteed. You want to keep working on those.
Yep.
Get that out of the way. And I'm going to ask my wife, Cynthia, to come in now. My wife is a pastry chef. So we've been basically begging her to come on because she is amazing. She's got great recipes, and I know you're going to love them. Now, this recipe is one that she's done for a number of years, and it's something that requires a couple steps. So I'm going to ask her to come on. We're going to do the first step. The first step is getting the dough ready. Now, if you don't and haven't had a good sweet or short crust recipe, this is going to be it for you. I'll let her tell you about it. So I just want to invite her on. So if you want to come and get set up over there, and I'll join you there. Bailey, grab the.
Yeah, I bet you wish you
Grab
had
the
my
camera and
recipe box
we'll-
now.
What's that?
I bet you wish you had my recipe box now.
Yeah, no kidding. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is my wife Cynthia.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yep. Tell us a bit about the recipe.
Well, I've tested many recipes, and this is the best one that I found. It's the perfect mixture of ingredients, and I know that it makes a perfect dough every time. It will never fail you. You'll never buy a store-bought dough ever again.
Yeah, because that's one of the things, like, it's the pie crust, right? So there's these frozen pie crusts, and you're thinking, okay, oh my goodness, and again, no food snobbery. If frozen pie crust work for you and you don't want to do it, we get it, right? We get that.
Yeah.
We used to buy them. Think about for us, before we were chefs. We bought them all the time because we think it's too difficult.
Yeah.
You're going to love this recipe.
And it's ingredients you have always on hand. It's
Simple
flour,
ingredients.
sugar, butter, and shortening. I mean, everybody has that in their cupboard, so. Oh, I need my...
You're going to get the butter? Okay. Out of the back, I need a large cutting blade for this.
Okay.
So we got a food processor. Now, the thing about this recipe is it can be cut together by hand, right? Like, you can do it by hand.
You can do it by hand.
Yeah. So if somebody doesn't have a food processor, that's the important thing with all of our recipes, is they have to be available and achievable with the minimum amount of equipment. So if you happen to be in a remote location, this is something that you can make. You can obviously travel with butter. Now, tell me a little bit. You pulled this out of the freezer.
The reason that I use the food processor is because I find the best way to make this is with frozen butter and with frozen shortening.
Right.
So it makes it a lot easier to chop through it than, you know, if you're doing it by hand. But it's possible.
So
It's
there's
possible.
two ways. If you don't have a food processor, you can obviously use a cutting tool, or you can also use your hands. It's French. The technique is called sablé. You literally just run the butter and shortening through your hands. I'll go get it.
You have too much cooking.
You have that look in your eyes. Okay, I'll find it.
Feels weird having Mom on the set. What are you doing? What are you cooking here?
I'm cooking your favorite
Yeah.
bourbon.
I don't know. I think
Now, guys, if
Yeah.
you have any questions, if you have any questions about desserts, now is the time. Ask them.
ask
We have a professional baker in the house, right? Or what do you call yourself? Sorry, a pastry chef.
Pastry chef.
Hey, don't give your mom a hard time. All right, so we got the large cutting blade. And you watch that bacon there, buddy. Just a side note that I am going to remove the top from the cranberries. So I'm taking the lid off. Smell that? Smells incredible. Just the
the
lid
lid
smells
alone.
incredible.
Yeah, amazing.
So, one of the things, you know, I always get asked, so we've had the privilege of serving prime ministers, presidents, celebrities, royalty, you name it. It's been a great honor. But one of the things we always get asked is, what is the difference between, you know, kind of what we, you know, like everyday food and what makes really great food? What makes really great food is the right equipment, the right techniques, and the right ingredients. Now that cranberry sauce with just a couple little things is elevated dramatically. Dramatically.
Okay.
Do you want to come and smell this? I think you should come smell this. We have a guest. Yeah, you want to come? Yeah, come on. We've got a friend here. So you keep going. You have just honestly, because they won't believe us.
So I'm going to start. It's the easiest recipe you will ever do.
Say hi.
It's 3 cups of all-purpose.
So
Oh, we're
just
doing
kinda-
that. Okay.
Smell that.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
So, and Linda's a vegetarian,
cinnamon.
so we're trying to convert.
We're trying to convert her.
I knew she would love the cranberry sauce. But it smells good, right?
And she will eat my pie.
Yes, she will. Okay, good.
Okay.
So as you can see, you know, food is always a family affair. And it's great, you know, it's great to get big groups around. It's really important for kids to see this happening because
kids love
the kids
to
love
help
cooking.
We got Nana, we got Papa, Rob, Linda, Grace, Blake. We got a whole bunch of people here. They're all enjoying the smells coming out of this. They're getting
Okay, so we're talking too much. Let her do her dough.
Okay. So we start with 3 cups of all-purpose flour.
People are asking how to make raised donuts.
Raised donuts? Actually, if you join us, so Raised Donuts,
That would be a good thing to do.
No, for New Year's. So New Year's, I'm going to do a classic. I've got Dutch roots, puffages, which are basically like an apple fritter. We'll be doing that, and we'll be celebrating New Year's with you, Surefire, our New Year's celebration. So if you want to know how to make donuts, it's the same principle. This one has raisins and currants and all kinds of beautiful things. Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. So 3 cups of all-purpose flour, a cup of just granulated sugar, and a pinch of salt.
I didn't know pinch was a serving until my mom became a pastry chef.
And then what I do is I just incorporate that together with a few pulses.
There it is. Now, the bourbon pecan pie, how, tell me what stages this all comes in here.
Well, you have to make your pie crust because
pie
it has
crust
to
first?
rest. So once that's combined,
Why does it have to rest?
just so that you can roll it out. If you do it right after, it will just fall apart. The best way is to let it rest for about 30 minutes in the refrigerator covered with saran wrap, or just put in like a Ziploc bag, flatten it out, and then put it in the refrigerator for 30 minutes.
Okay, so butter going in.
12 tablespoons of butter, which is what makes it so yummy.
So the reason we use butter and shortening
Right.
is because butter brings flavor, but shortening
Flaky.
will make it nice and flaky. So you're probably, very flaky. Yeah. So what happens is there's moisture. So in the crust, as the heat hits it, it will give you a puff. So it'll slightly, and it's the water escaping, creates a little puff. So, and then it creates that puff, and then it kind of bakes and freezes there. So what you have is you have all these multiple layers of air trapped in that pastry. So instead of being like a brick on the bottom, you've got this nice flaky texture. But the butter and that together make a beautiful combination.
It's like the T4 mix of baking.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I use 12 tablespoons of butter and a third of a cup of shortening. And then I just pulse it together like 12 times. Sometimes you have to do it a little more. You don't want to overwork your dough, because if you overwork it, it'll be so elastically, when you put it in the oven, it'll just shrink right back up. And if you ever had that where you do a perfect pie crust and it looks beautiful, and you put it in the oven, and then it just like disappears on you, and everything falls out all over?
This bacon is done.
So this basically is doing it for you. It's sublaying the butter and the shortening into the flour. You just keep a close eye on it until basically what you want it to look like is sand, white sand.
Yep. And I really want you at home, I want you to, when we get it to that stage, let's have a good close-up on that. So I want you to see the texture. Very good.
Okay. So, as you can see, It's now just like white sand.
Let's take a look at that. The
Nice.
sand of the Caribbean, man.
Yeah, yeah.
That's right.
Everything going to be all right, Mom.
That's perfect.
I'm just going to interject just for 1 minute before you put that in. What I've got here is I've got the bacon. You notice how crispy I've got that bacon. Want to make sure it is, because as soon as I add the Brussels sprouts, all of that water is going to start to escape. I leave a tablespoon of 2 in the bottom, and what I want you to see is look in the bottom of that pan. All of those little bits, those are going to be picked up by the Brussels sprouts. So those sprouts now, let's put those in. I'm going to put them in whole, and I'm going to add all of those leaves at the same time. The color there is absolutely beautiful, and the texture is gorgeous. The nice thing is, there's nice saltiness that comes from the bacon. I'm literally going to put that in, turn that over, and I'll show you that finish in just a minute. We'll go back to our bourbon pecan pie.
Oh, I think you're all hot stuff now that she's in the kitchen clapping her hands together.
No, I just always make a mess. I'm a messy pastry chef. Okay, so then what you want to do is you want to have ice water. I usually use about 1/3 of a cup of ice water, but I fill it up because sometimes it just depends on, you know, circumstances, how much you want to use.
It's the humidity of the flour, right?
Right.
So depending at what level you are, how humid your flour is, this is something that needs to be done by the eye.
But the key to this recipe is cold, cold, and cold.
Ice cold water.
Like ice cold water, and it just makes the perfect dough. So I just pour a little bit in, and then I'll turn it on.
And this is really important. Watch how this comes together. It's very exciting. Happens very quickly and lets you know that it is in fact ready to go. You can hear it already. It starts to clump up.
And it will literally form your ball right in there.
So what's happening with that large blade is it's constantly cutting right now. Cutting through a hole. Oh, that's nice. And it also, the bowl cleans up perfectly too. You watch and you wait and you be patient. Remember, this is a classic case of slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And as soon as she comes together like that, it's done. So you can see how a good, like this food processor, will make short work of it. And
I feel like I'm in a commercial kitchen right now. I'm just
Your mind's asking where the cast iron is. That is actually cast iron.
yeah, this?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cast iron.
And cast iron.
trying to challenge us with cast iron. We always have cast iron lying around somewhere.
There you go.
Oh, look at that, eh? We should actually, hey Cody, you want to get a close up on this? Looks great.
And this recipe will actually make 2 pie crusts if you're doing like a pecan pie, but if you're doing like an apple pie where you need a top, then it'll do 1 pie. But if you're doing an open pie, then this will actually make 2 pies, this recipe.
So important to cover it. You can wrap it in plastic wrap, or what we do a lot is we use a Ziploc bag. And what Cindy's doing is she's forming a disc right now. I'll get you a little bit of flour, babe. She's forming a disc right now. You want it as close to the size and shape of what you're going to be using as possible. And then it makes it so you don't have to roll it nearly as much. I'm going to flip it and then there you go. Rest on. Pat that down. Then we'll tuck it inside. So this is a perfect short crust or sweet crust. In it goes. Perfect. And then, of course, beautiful.
That's going to go in the fridge.
That's going to go in the refrigerator. It's going to rest. We want to make sure.
Another thing is that the reason I love this is you can also freeze it. Or it can stay in the fridge because there's no eggs in it. So it's actually food safe for a very long time.
Yeah. So what we generally do is when we've got the ingredients out, we go ahead and we make 2 or 3 of these.
Yeah.
So while you're making it, you've got the extra. You put it in the freezer, and the next time you want it, it's ready to go, and you don't have to pull everything out. That can go away. So now that is resting, we're going to give that about 30 minutes, and then we will be back with Cindy for the finish of that. Coach, I'm going to bring this over. I want to show everybody at home how this is coming together. I'll bring it right over here. So if you're just joining us, thank you, and if you're staying with us, thank you for staying with us. We know this is a long broadcast. We knew it would be, and this is something we want to do for some time. We want to share some of these techniques with you and make your Thanksgiving a huge success. So if you can see inside there, all of these beautiful cranberries are starting to break open. So as they heat up, they start to break open. And then I've got the lid off now. So I'm going to leave that lid off, and I'll take it off the heat when I get it to the right consistency. So I'll just tip that towards you. You can see that. I'll show you that finish where it is right now. So you can see the consistency. Now, if you like all the texture out of the cranberry sauce, so you like it to be almost completely like a puree, you can put this in a blender, you can use an immersion blender, and you can get it completely silky smooth. For myself, I like the texture of the berries. The skin is just, always with our food, I always like to look at it and know exactly what it is. It's a great kind of little signal to what's going on in the pan. So I'm going to put that back on. That'll continue to reduce just. So we've got our sprouts rolling. Our dessert is well on the way. You know what time it is? I think it's stuffing time. Oh, yeah. Do you want to grab that stuffing? Yeah. So the stuffing now will have been cooled down. We've got a great flavor base going inside that stuffing. And now it's time to stuff the birds.
Oh, yeah. Well, that stuffing smells amazing.
Doesn't that smell good?
Oh, yeah.
So let's do, the first thing I want to do is I want to talk about seasoning. So inside the cavity is an important place to season as well as outside. Now you'll get in the turkey, if you're buying a commercial turkey, you'll get the neck, you'll get the giblets, you'll get likely heart, liver, and these things are great to eat. They also make a beautiful pan gravy. So in just a minute, I'm going to show you how to make that pan gravy. I'll set these aside. And for stuffing, it's just as simple as making sure, first of all, to season that cavity. So in seasoning the cavity, we want to make sure that we have plenty of salt. So we just need a bit more. Actually, I'll just get you to season this with the grinder. So this is where you can get your kids involved. That cavity, and then some, yep, that's good, and some salt in there as well. Now, if you're, oh, is it? Okay, perfect, that's good. And then one of the things you need to think about or one of the questions I get most often is, how much turkey do I need? Of course, if you're using a wild turkey, you use as much turkey as you got. If you're buying a turkey, anywhere from 1 to 2 pounds per person is a good way to figure out volume. If you're at my house, it's going to be about 2 pounds per person. If you have a little bit lighter use, you want to put some in here as well? Okay. Then 1 pound will probably do just fine. Also for timing, what you want to figure in for timing is approximately 20 minutes per pound. So a 3-pound turkey would be an hour, but you know, a 12-pound turkey would be about 4, and so on and so forth. That's why when you have a 24-pound or 30-pound turkey, you need a good 8 hours, 6, 7, 8 hours to get it done right. You don't want to do it fast. You want to do it at a really good pace. So this is nice and cold now. Yep. So it's definitely refrigerator temperature. I'm just going to press it down a little bit.
That looks so good.
It does. And then you see in that first fistful, what I've got is I've got that fresh thyme. We're tucking that in there.
Some sage in
there.
there.
Yeah, sage in there. You can see the beautiful, I can feel the sausages going in there. So you have little bits of everything.
That looks so good, man.
So there's a couple reasons to stuff the cavity. First of all, it fills out the areas in the bird that would otherwise, be vacant. The other thing is that it is a great way to get flavor, and it just makes perfect sense.
Yeah. As that turkey cooks, all those juices and everything, that bread just soaks it all up, and it tastes so good.
Yep. So you can do a couple things. You can do like a chicken wing and tuck this back in behind, and that'll hold that in place. I don't know if you want to show that or not. Yep. Or you can also, if you don't have wings, you can just use a little piece of string and tie that back. Do you want to get the...
want to show us there, Dad, what you're doing?
Yeah, so I literally just tuck those arms back in behind. That'll elevate that, and it'll also hold that in position, okay? So the other thing we have here, you can see that the piece that would normally, I would tuck this in is gone. Yep. So if you can give me some string up there. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to nick this off since it's out of the way. So this is actually, this will actually have a fair amount of fat. It also have, you see that it's got a bone in there, it's got some nice meat. So I'm going to put that in the gravy. Yeah, do you want to turn that off? Yeah, I'm just gonna
Eric, you were asking if
So just a little bit of sound trouble there. One of the things that I love to do, you can see now this bird looks nice and full, well stuffed, very attractive, and it's ready to go in. Now we're going to get together our dressing. Bailey's just grabbing me a pan. So you can see how that is positioned. It's what I started to say is that it's very uniform. Tying it ensures that it's going to have uniform cooking. If the legs are kind of spread and moving about, what you'll have is you'll have parts that'll get cooked faster than others. As tight and as dense and as uniform as possible makes a lot of sense. So I'm just going to do a little cleanup here. How are we doing there, buddy?
We're doing good. Jeremiah will be happy we got some cast iron on set.
Okay, good. So with the cast iron now, what I'm going to do is literally just pack this in. I'm just going to arrange this. Now it's really important to add foil on top of this because I don't want it to dry out. Yeah. So with this, look at this. And what we do at the end is we'll take the dressing and the stuffing, and we'll actually combine the two and just make sure we have a ton of intense flavor.
Oh yeah.
How are we doing there on our live stream?
Good. We're doing good.
Good. So you can see how beautiful that is. You can also see why I said just go ahead and use the same pan, because this is where we're going to ultimately make our gravy. It's out of the drippings. Now what we need, Babe, is we need about 1 liter of water in the bottom of this.
Okay.
Liter of water.
Chef, how did you learn to cook?
quick question on how I learned how to cook. I attended culinary school at Le Cordon Bleu. Had a great classical French education, which kind of let me fall in love with Wild to Table in a special way, because what we're able to do is take some of those classic techniques, in this case roasting, and it allows us to show those principles in kind of a classic way. So thanks for that question, Jeremiah.
It wasn't me.
Oh, it wasn't Jeremiah? Jeremiah's always watching, so I assume it's Jeremiah. Any other questions there, Code?
Nope.
Nope? Okay. So what I'm going to do with this dressing is I want to get this covered, and a little bit of foil. Hey, Sin, where's the foil on? She's got that look like she doesn't know where the foil is. Got it. So Bailey's putting a liter of water in, and it's really important to put the water in the bottom. There's a couple things that it does. First of all, it'll keep this cooking environment very humid. The other thing that it'll do is any of the drippings, that's probably just a little bit more, not too much more. It'll also catch all those drippings, and rather than burning on the bottom, it'll flavor that water, and this will eventually become my gravy. So with some foil, I'll be sure to cover this up. And when I do, I want to make certain to cover it up nice and tight. So foil on, and I think what we'll do, let's go to the barbecue, and we'll do a swap. So this is where going to the barbecue.
Forgot we had squash.
Yeah, no, I already went out there.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I already went out there. So this is where having the barbecue really makes a lot of sense, because it allows me to go to the barbecue with something like this. So there's not going to be room in the oven for the turkey plus this dressing. So going to the barbecue will allow me to do that. So I'm going to just set this in. Now I won't turn this on. The dressing is something that I want to put on maybe an hour, maybe 45 minutes, just before the turkey's finished. About the time I take the foil off the turkey, then I'll tuck this in. Babe, can I pass this to you? I just want to show you at home. Have a look at this. Look at that beautiful, beautiful butternut squash. So if you missed it earlier, this has been roasted for about an hour and 15 minutes. I roasted it at 350 degrees, and you can see all of that beautiful caramelization and flavor that's developed. We're going to turn that into a soup in just a minute. I'm going to pass it off to you, babe.
You want me to scoop that out?
Not just yet. I want to show people that. And I'll put this in here. I'll tuck it to one side. I may have something else that goes on, but I'll turn that on. No deers in the field. I tried to coordinate it with the deer in the field, but we just didn't get it done. So,
I can go put a decoy up there.
no, that's okay. Okay, so let's do a quick cleanup here. So now let's do the last little bit here, which is just finishing up this turkey. So we've got water in the bottom, and now what I'm going to do, so babe, this is something that I always do, and this is, for you at home, this is a great little tip. Any questions there, Code? By the way, throw us a few hearts and likes. Let us know, and let us know, again, if you're just joining us, let us know where you're watching from.
Yeah.
Jeremiah's asking just in case you have just a round just chilling underneath there, if you have an extra one.
Oh, the realm? Oh, yeah, sure, I got an extra one for you, buddy. Listen, so what you do is, in this case, just take the onion, split it in half, and then I'm just going to take a carrot, same thing, rough cut. So these won't be, I won't eat these afterwards. But what I'm going to do with this flavor base, the carrots, the celery, and the onion, is I'm flavoring that water underneath. That is going to be intensely flavored. I'm going to put a couple stalks of celery in there. Notice I'm doing leaves and all.
Yeah. Very rough cut.
Rough cut. And
Harvest cut.
And so the harvest cut, so there's a reason why, and it just makes it easier to fish it out and to strain it out later. And I'm actually going to take a little bit of this heavy part of the green from the leaf.
Really, eh?
Yeah, and so this is the one place where you can use this. So if you smell that, it's intense. It smells like leek, but this is something that's too hard, too firm to eat. But in this case, what we can do with this is we can add a ton of flavor.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so now with that done, all I want to do is we're just going to use a little bit of extra virgin olive oil. and it looks nice, right?
Oh yeah, it looks gorgeous.
Yeah, so I'll just do a little bit of a dressing. Now this is just adding a little bit of fat. This could be butter, could be vegetable oil, could be canola or camelina, whatever you've got. The reason I like doing this is because it adds a little bit of fat, it's a little layer of protection, and it gives me the ability, helps all of the herbs and spice, everything I'm going to put on top, helps it all stick together.
Salt and pepper?
Yep, salt and pepper. So again, we season the cavity, and now we're seasoning the outside. We'll put some fresh thyme on there, Bay. So just literally coat that with fresh thyme. I'm going to take some of this fresh sage and chop this up. So if you want to put thyme leaves on there, that'd be great.
Yep.
Salt and pepper.
You always feel, what's the name of that chef? Oh, you always feel a little bit like Emeril Lagasse when you start doing this with the, what was the old TV show where you'd be like, bam, you're done.
So watchers from California, Central Illinois, Washington.
Welcome, Washington, Central Illinois, California. Welcome to everybody who's watching. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions, please keep firing away. We'll do our best to get. We're checking all platforms right now. We'll say hi to our viewers at Coyote Outdoor Living, to Bowtech, and to our Fearless Outdoors and the Outdoor Chef, to Hunting Addicts, and to all the other partners who are carrying this broadcast.
And just another recap, guys. Earlier I said I thought it'd be a great idea with Thanksgiving coming up next week. If you guys have a recipe that you love and you want to share it with people, let us know that recipe. We'll pick one of the recipes and we'll do it on next week's broadcast on Saturday. And just like Code said, if you do this recipe, take a picture of it, send it to us, post it, tag us in it, and we're going to pick that best recipe, that best picture, and we're going to be giving away a pair of Vortex binoculars to that winner.
Dakota's going to grab those binos right now so we can show you what we're doing. Just a little tip. So if your foil isn't quite big enough, you can just take a couple strips and you can make one piece. I'll just do it here. So literally just going to take a piece about that big. And for those of you who are watching who are, maybe you're saying to yourself, well, Chef, listen, Johnny, that's pretty obvious. We're not taking anything for granted because I know for a fact I've talked to viewers who are literally like 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 years old who have never even baked and roasted anything, never mind a whole turkey, and there's so much kind of fear around a turkey.
Same thing with when we started bow hunting, it was like, what's a rest? What's a bow sight? What's a pin?
The principles.
What's a stabilizer?
Yeah.
Like, and in your mind, you're like, it's the thing that's on the front of the bow. But if you haven't done it or you kind of not with it, it's really hard to kind of like not notice that. But you want to go through every step because there are people who don't understand.
Perfect. Cool. It's got some binos here.
Yeah, so this coming week, guys, we're going to be posting these recipes. And if you make this Thanksgiving dinner or any of your Thanksgiving dinner, take a picture of it. Tag us in the post at The Outdoor Chef or tag Bowtech as well. We'll give away these Crossfire binoculars from Vortex to you. We'll announce the winner next Saturday on next Saturday's broadcast at 9 a.m. Eastern.
Even the thing Dad just did, he like folded the foil over so it could you can't really get inside. I didn't know how to do that.
So it's important. So all I did is just overlap them and fold them. I'm glad that you're so impressed.
I am. It's
it's
like
good.
a pocket.
Legitimately, that's good. So this is something that's very important. At this point, take the time. Make sure that edge is completely sealed. This is the point at which we'll determine whether or not that turkey tastes like bark chips or tastes like luscious, beautiful, juicy turkey.
Mo was asking if we can just give away the turkey.
Yes, we'll be sending this turkey to a lucky viewer. Make sure it is, I'm kidding. The turkey would be nice, wouldn't it? Yeah. Yep. Okay. So this is something that now we're going to take and we're going to put this in the oven. We're going to do a hot swap there.
Yeah.
Okay. So important to preheat the oven. Make sure to preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. If you've got let's say your oven's a little on the hot side, you got a convection oven. Sometimes convection ovens, most of the time, 25 degrees lower works really good. So 325, your oven, 325 convection, or 350 if it's a conventional oven. So do that and take a note of the time.
Yep.
And do yourself a favor and jot it down somewhere or set a timer on your phone, but make sure that you pay attention. So when you scale it out, how many pounds is it? It's 12 pounds. We're going to figure 1 pound for every 20 minutes. We know it's going to be about 4 hours. Make sure to set a timer. You want to check, in this case, 12-pound turkey, you want to set a timer for about 30 minutes before it's done. At that time, you're going to check the temperature. When you do, you're going to want, if it's reached 350 degrees, you want to get to, or 155, 160 degrees. You want to get it to 165. It'll even approach 170. But remember, when you take the turkey out to rest it, it's going to keep cooking.
Yep, and I'm just going to interrupt you guys real quick.
Go ahead.
Yep, we'll be going for about 2 hours now. We're just going to do a quick swap on the batteries in the camera.
Okay, good.
We're going to go to a thing. We'll be back in about 15 seconds.
We'll be back in 15 seconds. Go refill your coffee and hang tight.
Yep. Oh, shit.
And we're back. How's that? So listen, this is now going to go into the oven. We'll pop that in our...
And I just had a separate note with what you were saying just before, along the lines of there are no stupid questions. Is there a difference in any of what you just said between wild and turkey and a regular turkey?
Great question, Bay. So whether you're cooking a commercially grown turkey or a wild turkey, the principles are all the same. The one thing that I would recommend is, as we have done, make sure to do the brine. The brine on the wild turkey and the brine on the commercial turkey, they're going to add flavor. It's going to add something that it'll be...
That little notepad, write down brine, write what it is, write how to do it. That's how I learned from him. I took everything he said and I just slowly, I started writing things down, looking at them over whenever I tried to cook again. And even within a few months, I had this notebook of techniques and different things that I could use when I was cooking.
Okay, so now we're going to start, since you've been such a great student, I'm going to have you prepare mirepoix, so carrot, celery, and onion and leek, because we are going to start our butternut squash soup. So let's just do a little bit of a quick cleanup here, and you can get started. So Bailey, we're going to saute these. So listen, we're going to start flavor development. We've got the squash finished. They taste great. If we were to serve that right now, that would be the perfect side. So it's a little bit of salt and pepper and roasted at 350 degrees until you can pass a fork or a knife through it cleanly. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to save a couple of these. We'll save these for...
Yeah, that's another thing. You can make squash soup, but then you can also set two aside to just have butternut squash, because a lot of people don't like the soup, but some people like the squash. And in terms of the soup, how many of these do you need to make a soup to serve, say, 10 people you have over for Thanksgiving?
Yeah, so literally one of these will be more than enough to serve a large group of people. So one squash will be enough to serve at least a dozen. Goes a long way.
Oh, yeah.
Let's save these ones. These are beautiful.
Yeah, those are really good, eh?
Yeah. So when we do come back later on this afternoon, we'll have a hero shot of everything that we've prepared, and we'll talk about it. We'll also take a few questions then. What I've got here is I've got a blender. It's the Cuisinart Hurricane Pro. You can use a mixer, you can use a blender, but what I love is this. And just get a quick shot of this, Code. This is what I love. Butternut squash, buttercup squash. It literally, look at this. Look at this.
Butter.
Just like butter. It literally turns it like I could be scooping ice cream, for heaven's sake. Are you looking at that? That is absolutely beautiful. So that just goes in. The one nice thing about using a blender, and you don't have to, look at that. Look at that. Straight out of my Coyote grill to absolute perfection. Man, I love cooking. So if you don't have a blender, what you just need to do is just make sure to, you can use either, as I said, an immersion blender. You can use a blender you would use for baking, like the two-prong blender. But what you want is you want something that's going to break up those little fibers. So, you know butternut squash, it has the little fibers. There we go. And it smells fantastic. And you can see this. Look at this. Beautiful. So lots in there. You can see a lot goes, a little goes a long way.
A lot goes a long way. You got two there, and they're just
a little goes a long way.
Fill in that blender.
Yeah.
And again, mirepoix, carrot, celery, onion. Very simple and leek too. And just adds so much flavor to anything you're cooking. Especially the squash.
Yeah. Now, when you're serving the squash, this is new harvest squash. Keep in mind that that skin is edible. It's just for the soup. It's really kind of tough to get it to break down that far. So I just want to scoop it out and give myself the option to have that beautiful texture. Any questions there, Code?
Could you eat the butternut squash just like that and have it in a dish?
Yeah, great point. So the butternut squash, I'm hanging on to these. And so the nice thing is, when I'm preparing the soup for Thanksgiving, I'm at the same time preparing a vegetable side. So we've got the Brussels sprouts and the squash as a vegetable side. But then to start the dinner off, I've got the butternut squash soup. And that will allow me to have something, you know, that's really warm, especially if it's a cold day. There's nothing like a fragrant soup to get your taste buds rolling.
Yeah, like stick to your ribs food, like chili, stuff like that when it's cold out is really nice.
Yep. Little bit of this can either be, so for vegetarians, make it a vegetable stock. What I'm using is chicken stock. So I'm going to top that up with some chicken stock. And this is just the very first step. Bailey's going to saute the carrot, celery, and onions, and then those will go in. But I want you to see the color. That's, yeah, if you do want to, that'd be great. I want you to see the color. Have a look at this. This is what happens here. Oh my gosh, look at that. Look at that color.
It's already a soup.
Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? So in just a matter of seconds, it's transformed. And what I'm going to do to elevate that flavor, it's already perfectly seasoned. This, as it stands right now, would taste great. But with the addition of the sauteed carrot, celery, and onion, we're going to have an incredible, incredible soup. Sin, I think it's about time to get started on our fillings. If you wanna get going on that.
Pecan pie.
Pecan pie. How are we doing?
Good.
So we're just gonna use a little bit of olive oil there. And so we got carrot, celery, and then I'm gonna preheat so we'll get this going over here.
I'm starting to cry.
You're crying, don't cry?
Oh, it's just such a good recipe. I mean, yeah, we're ready for some pecan pie.
We're ready for you to put this together. You want to bring that mixer up?
Kevin says his Duramax isn't even as loud as that blender.
Oh, is that right? Okay, mixer right there. So do you want to put the filling together first? Or you're gonna do, oh, never mind, babe. She's going to do this first. Let me dry that off for you.
And you can tell that it's ready. It's cold and it's firm, but it's still soft enough that you know you're going to be able to roll it. But you want it to be workable because the moment you take it out of the refrigerator, it's going to start to like melt, and then it's going to be hard to roll. So you want it to be workable, which is why you want it cold.
Cold equals workable. There you go.
Okay.
People are wondering if you know how much pecans are a pound up here.
I know how much they are because I bought them last night. I think this pie is probably going to cost me about $22.
But
Just
oh,
in
will it be
pecans.
worth it?
But it will be worth it.
It'll definitely be worth it, that's for sure. So pecans and pies in general this time of year, you know, it's a little bit of extra work, but boy oh boy, does it ever make a difference, a homemade pie. Eh?
So you're going to want to cut it in half. And then you're just going to want to shape it.
You making it round?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then just keep adding flour on both sides.
Get your rolling pin.
Thank you.
Be sure to flour the rolling pin before you start.
You think he was a pastry chef. And then what you're going to do is you're just going to...
Take a look at this, guys. Take a look at this mirepoix that I just did. Looks great. If I can get the carrots off the bottom.
Just going to want to keep turning it clockwise.
Yeah, so the texture is nice, eh? And so we've got pie plates prepped, ready to go. So the flavor of pecan pie brings together bourbon, corn syrup, and we add some maple to this as well. The maple is something that gives it a little bit of a kick of flavor. Of course, maple syrup is about 10 times as sweet as sugar itself, so it makes for an incredible little addition. Plus, it makes it really unique.
And then what I'm going to do is I just make sure
That's going to cover.
That's
Pan
gonna
upside
cover.
down. Okay.
And then a neat little trick is if you take your rolling pin,
And you're using your rolling pin to transfer it.
it's a little soft, so could have maybe rested a little bit more.
You get no second chances in when it's on TV.
No second chances when
Live,
it's
no
live.
pressure.
No pressure.
Once you get it started, you're okay.
There it is. You just needed my help.
No, it's too soft.
Too soft.
It's too soft.
Okay, so this brings up a really good point, though, and that is that the reason you're using cold and the reason you want to work with it quickly is because as that butter warms up, it really loses its texture. So I'm going to take this other half and I'm going to put it back into the refrigerator, and you may be able to get that worked in. If not, we'll rest it and we'll come back again.
I'm just gonna throw it in the freezer for like 2 seconds.
This one?
Because, yeah, if I do that, like even this one, I'll just throw it in the freezer for 2 seconds and then it'll be perfect.
Okay, be perfect. What do you say? Well, that's maybe coldening up a little bit. Let's get started on those spice nuts.
No, work on the filling. She's going to do the filling.
Are you gonna do the filling now?
Yep.
Fine. If you want to do spice nuts, you don't have to say so. It's my favorite part. I don't want to wait.
Okay.
Okay, so I've never made this, so walk me through how this is gonna happen. So I want to be able to make it when you're not home.
Well, it's sugar, sugar, and more sugar.
Sugar, sugar, sugar. Sugar Shack.
So we'll start with, this recipe will actually give you 2 deep dish pies. So this will actually do 2 pies for you.
2 pies.
So you're gonna start with 9 eggs.
See if I can crack. Last week I didn't have good luck with eggs. I couldn't crack an egg for anything.
Could crack an egg to save your life?
Nope. I tried like a.
Now you just jinxed me.
Why'd you get shot?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You said that and then you jinxed me.
Nothing wrong with a little shell. I make your eggs every morning. You think there's no shells in there? 9 eggs.
So I'd like to talk about my favorite ingredient that's going into this pie, and that's bourbon. We've tried actually quite a wide variety of liquors to go in. We've tried brandy, whiskey, bourbon. We've tried at least those 3, right? Is there any more? I don't think so. I think we've tried those 3, and all 3 of them are incredible. So just depending on what your favorite liquor is, you can use all 3 of them, right? And as you bake it, of course, that liquor content, that alcohol content comes out of the pie, so you don't have to worry about feeding it to the kids in the family, or if you're really hungry and you eat half a pie, you don't have to worry about driving home.
So just start whisking your eggs together, and then I've got a cup of butter. So to remember with my butter, so you're going to melt the butter.
Hey, Code, can I get a close-up of this? I just want to show you the texture of this. So I'm going to fish out, I've got these little star anise. Now the star anise I'm going to take out. You'll see them here. So these, they've given everything that they can give to this recipe. They still smell incredible. But what I'm going to do is I just want to show you what the finish of this is. So you can see that after reducing, it's got perfect texture. It looks and it smells incredible. Now, it's actually really good serving this either warm or cold. So whatever your family likes, I think
Warm is really good.
warm is really good. You can see that cinnamon stick sticking out there. I'll just leave that in. Maybe tuck that star anise right on there. So it kind of makes a suggestion of what's in there. And so that's a great finish on our, this is our Ruby Port cranberry sauce. We use those spices. This makes an exceptional little side for your turkey.
We're knocking recipes down now. We started the day, I don't even know how many. We had like 6 or something like that. This is done, the turkey's in, the stuffing's done. We're starting to get our headway on this bourbon pecan pie. We got the spice nuts still to go. The Brussels sprouts are all done, and guys, this kitchen smells amazing. It's not even Thanksgiving, and I get a Thanksgiving dinner when this is all done. I'm so excited, it's not even funny.
So I have a little trick here with the maple syrup and the corn syrup. You know how sticky it is and you can't get it off when you're trying to measure it. So what I always do is I always just spray a little bit of the Pam.
It seems like you waste a quarter of the cup because
Yeah,
half
so
of it sticks right to the...
if you spray your measuring utensil with Pam, then when you're doing things like maple syrup and corn syrup, it will literally...
And this is the syrup?
This is maple syrup.
And how much are you putting in?
Half a cup of maple syrup.
Half a cup?
You can see it just slides right out of your measuring
Every
device.
John Carnevale is asking where you can find all our recipes.
Great question, John. Listen, all of these recipes will be posted after our broadcast. And just as a reminder, we're going to be coming back live this afternoon. We'll have all of the hero shots. We'll have the entire meal laid out so that you can see everything, and we'll release the recipes at that time.
Yeah, and I'll do a post of all of our social media. Our YouTube is a great place to go and get all of our recipes in video form. All our recipes are there, but all of our social media, we always post pictures with the recipe on there, and that's a great place to get all of our recipes.
Pinch of salt. And you're going to do 2.5 cups of
Corn syrup.
corn syrup. Oh, this is what makes the pecan pie.
What's the difference? What's the difference between corn syrup and regular syrup?
Corn syrup comes from corn, maple syrup comes from maple.
Here's your sign.
I don't think you get
That's why we keep Bailey around for comedic.
So the maple syrup, they milk the maple trees.
I know that.
You know they milk the maple trees.
How do they make syrup from corn?
That's for another show.
That's for another show, man.
You asked them all smart. How do they make syrup from corn?
We'd like to thank everybody for watching. Be sure to tag a friend. Your friends are going to want to see the finish on this bourbon pecan pie. Trust me. So tag a friend so that they can see this as well. Oh man.
And somebody asked earlier about donuts, and basically it's almost the exact recipe of the pie crust, except for you add milk and active dry yeast. Yeast is the key to it.
I feel like I'm tongue-tied here as you're baking. I guess maybe I shouldn't make fun of pastry chefs because I don't have a lot to talk about. I don't know as much about baking as you do.
Well, you see,
I can't talk as much.
Corn syrup is made from corn. It's a great talking point.
And I'm just adding some nice vanilla. Probably a tablespoon of vanilla.
Well, let's take a minute and we'll talk about this about Thanksgiving. Just about to get ready to put this soup ladle back in the soup. We're just about ready to wind up our butternut squash soup. So this soup ladle was my Oma soup ladle, and so she served probably about 50,000 servings on this. She brought this. This is one of just a few things that she brought to Canada with her from the old country, and it's things like this that make me thankful. So for this Thanksgiving, from our family to yours again, this is all about Thanksgiving and being thankful and what we're grateful for.
Yes.
And I'm grateful for pecan pie. So keep going.
And the key to pecan pie, besides the bourbon, is brown sugar. So I have 2 cups of brown sugar.
Why brown sugar, not regular sugar?
Because you want that rich molasses flavor in the stick to everything dark and brown and.
Now, where does molasses come from?
Sugar beets.
Sugar beets.
Sugar
Sugar
beets and
beets.
sugar cane.
And I don't know if you want to. Is this the bourbon? No, that's not the bourbon.
Someone
That's
was asking
mayo.
if you tried brown rice syrup.
Brown rice syrup? Yep.
Yeah, we have it before.
Yep, brown rice syrup.
And then another viewer wants to know if we tap our own trees or we buy it from the store. And I'll tell you, we wouldn't be Canadian
I feel like that's
if
a
we didn't
Canadian
tap our
joke.
own trees.
You're going to want about 2.5 ounces of bourbon. It depends
No,
on
no.
how.
You're gonna want more than
how
2.5
much you like
ounces.
your bourbon. We like our bourbon.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to get a close up on what the
Yeah,
filling
yeah.
looks like,
I see that.
because it's ready to go. It's the easiest pie to make. Let's see if I can.
Oh, yeah. It's probably easiest just to tip it right down. See if you guys can see that. in
See?
there.
Beautiful.
Looks so good.
Good. And then what you do, the best part, is you
Pecan.
add the pecans.
You can see with that liquid in there, kind of like that juice that runs out of an apple pie. You can see this is that stuff that kind of holds the glue of the pie together, and it looks so good.
And you're going to want to do about 350 grams of pecans in this recipe.
So, of course, the reason we add the eggs is to, eggs are like baking's miracle. So the eggs will actually help to firm up that beautiful sugary filling. They'll give you a nice texture. Otherwise, those ingredients together would just kind of run right out. Not that it's a little runny is nice. So
Yes.
it's interesting. We've actually tested with how many eggs we want. A few more eggs makes it quite firm. A few less eggs makes it too runny. I think this will be just perfect for you.
I like it a little runny. I don't like it completely
Yeah.
firm.
I think it's a good teaching point when we talk about maple syrup and how we do our own the ratios and how much fun it is.
Yeah, I mean, tapping your own trees is an amazing experience. As a matter of fact, we'll be tapping trees this March at Dakota's farm. Tapping a tree, and it actually makes you appreciate maple syrup because the ratio when you reduce it is 50 to 1. So 50 gallons of maple water, that will bring 1 gallon of refined maple syrup. So imagine how the First Nations people would have coveted it. I know I went to a place where they were, demonstrating how the First Nations would reduce it using hot rocks, concentrating the flavors, and then literally turn it to maple sugar or a maple candy. And so this is, it's a coveted thing. So we'll be doing that. We'll be showing you how it's done come this spring. So Cindy's got that dough. What do you think, hon? Do you want to leave it a little longer, or do you think it'll be good?
I'm hesitant now because I don't want to do it again and have it
That's okay.
Greg says he knows how much we love our bourbon.
It's almost ready.
Almost ready. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll continue with our other recipes for the time being. I've got the butternut squash bait. Check the recipe list and let's finish up this butternut squash soup. I think you're going to love this soup. So we've got the carrot, celery, and onion. And one of the things I always love to do is I always love to use a little bit of wine with the... Got it? Yep. I always like to use a little bit of wine with the butternut squash soup. Of course, white wine is a perfect match for the butternut squash soup, and a little bit in the cooking won't hurt either. So if you've been with us this whole time, we thank you for staying with us and for watching. We hope you're learning a ton. Let us know, even after the broadcast is finished. Don't forget, continue to watch, continue to comment. We'd be happy to respond to comments afterwards. Now, Bailey's got the carrot, celery, and onion going back here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to deglaze this pan with some white wine. Reduce that. Look at that. Smell that?
Imagine, see this, I'm sure you can see this steam. This steam is full of every flavor that's going to be inside this soup.
Well, the steam is actually just the water.
Oh yeah, but I'm saying the smell.
The smell.
You can smell it all.
Smells incredible. So we're concentrating flavors using the white wine to deglaze. And now we're going to go back. I took and I put some of the soup, so some of the puree I put in the pot here. And what I'm going to do now is I'll add the flavor base to the soup. And what I'll do, I'll get you to start doing that, Babe, and I'm going to just get some more chicken stock.
You want me to pour this out?
No, add to that. Just get a close up there. Up here, you can use this to just kind of funnel it right into the Hurricane Pro.
Get a close up on this code. You guys are going to love this as we put this in. You can imagine all those different flavors, the white wine that he just put in, the carrot, celery, onion, salt, pepper, olive oil, all of that is now going into this beautiful squash soup. It's just going to be great. There we go.
Okay.
All those juices in there.
Yeah, I don't want to miss anything. So what I've got now is I got a bit more chicken stock. Top that up. And we'll finish this soup by lighting that up.
This is going to look good.
Grab me just grab me a cloth. At this point, it's really important to get the texture. So the worst thing that you could do after all of this hard work would be to have something that was grainy in texture. You want this to be silky smooth. So stay with it for a minute and let it blend. Okay, now that we brought all these flavors together, you can see what this is going to look like. Now I'm just going to pour this in. Bailey's got some butter, and put a good heaping tablespoon in there. Yep, that's good. That's lots. That butter is going to melt through. It'll give a beautiful sheen to this. Now we're going to need a little bit of salt and pepper. I'm going to add just a bit more stock. Now, I'm going to add the stock in this first because I want to make sure I get all the little bits. So I'm going to just shake this around a little bit, make sure we get We're back. Just a little bit of technical difficulty there with the audio. Want you to see the texture of this. So it's not like baby food. That's not a texture we want. We want it to be voluptuous. We want it to be thick and creamy and rich, but we don't want it to be, the texture to be like baby food. So this is very smooth. Adding cream is a possibility, but cream will fill the palate a little bit, taking away some of the flavor. That's why I just add the butter. The butter has more richness in cream, but it won't take away from it as much. Now, of all the recipes that we have, we've got our turkey in the oven. We've got the pecan pie ready to be baked. We've got our soup finished. I think we've got, come on in here. What we're gonna do is we're gonna take a minute. We're gonna take a little bit of a break, and we're going to come back. Now, when we come back, we've got a couple more to finish up. Yep. We've got this pecan pie that we're going to finish, and we also have a spiced mixed nuts. At that time, you're going to see the heroes. So you'll see the roast turkey, you'll see this soup, you'll see the beautiful cranberry sauce, yep. And you'll see all these ingredients. Listen, from all of us here at the Outdoor Chef and the Collins family, to you and to your family, we want to wish you a very, very happy Thanksgiving. Yep. We hope you enjoyed this broadcast. This is part 1 of 2. We're going to be coming back this afternoon. We're going to be coming back live to you again. If you have any more questions, bring your questions then. But until this afternoon, we'll see you.